Carolina Panthers last night in their 24-9 win. I think the final score was. Sam Darnold continues to look good, but big picture, man. Patrick, I know you're the big NFL guru on the show. What do you make of what happened last night in Carolina?
Hold on, I'm out of breath. I've just been running up and down the stairs making coffee so I get here right in the nick of time. I don't know. I didn't see.
How's your hamstring? So it's a McCaffrey hamstring issue that they don't know the severity of, and it was J.C. Horn non-contact injury with Matt Rule thinks multiple broken bones in his foot.
Yeah, so the foot is very complicated, as we've learned recently. I don't know how you break your foot. Like, is there one major bone in the foot that where they say if you have a broken foot, that could mean any number of things, right?
Right.
Not like you broke your arm, so like it's just snapped and it's got to repair itself. There's just a million bones in your foot, right?
Sounds right to me. I'll go with that. What about you?
They put no timetable out. They said it could be anything, right? So I would assume that he's out for the season, and anything else is a bonus for the Panthers. The McCaffrey thing, though, he walked off under his own power and everything. It's just precautionary now. They took him. Like, could he have played?
Well, that's the thing with a hamstring, man. I mean, you can always still play to some degree, but how effective are you going to be? And then how long does this thing linger? The old soft tissue injury, I think, is the relatively new fad term on that thing.
I would be worried about Christian McCaffrey just overall in the long term after they gave him all that money and they use him so much. Like, the usage rate for him is ridiculous. He gets so many touches. He takes such a beating. He's jacked, but he's not a big guy. So I don't know. That's why everybody worries about that with running back contracts, because nobody's getting hit more than a running back. So I can't think that McCaffrey is going to have 5 years of a clean bill of health as soon as he gets this hamstring dealt with. It's just.
You see the number of touches? The number of touches he had in the first 2 games when you talking about that? Like
I didn't see the number this season. Let me guess though.
Through 2 games, through the first 2.
I'll go 50.
Patrick, you want to take a guess?
Like 62.
You guys are not bad. 59 was the number through 2 games last night, because they kept talking about he's averaging 30 touches per game. And to your point, I was like, man, that seems excessive, right? Like, that seems like
30 touches is a base is like. I remember the first time I'd ever heard 30 touches was when LaDainian Tomlinson was in his prime when I was young, and they were making a point of this guy needs 30 touches no matter what. If we don't get him 30 touches, we failed. So that's kind of how it goes, I guess, with an elite player like that he's maybe not their best receiver, because DJ Moore was awesome last night too, but he's the best receiving back in the NFL probably.
I'm not sure where Jess's head is this morning. First of all, he hit us up at 410 on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. So there's that, right? 803-404-6100. If you'd like to join, you can call or text that same number. Good, wonderful, happy Friday morning to you guys. Celebrating a great Carolina Panthers win this morning, but not getting excited yet. We're 3-0, ready to get Christian McCaffrey back healthy. Time for all the bandwagon fans to jump aboard. Have a wonderful, great weekend, guys. Go Panthers. Thanks. Yes. I don't mean to be a wet blanket here, man. But
you're going to be a wet blanket.
I'm just saying, didn't you expect to beat the Texans? I mean, let's. Davis Mills was making his first start. The Texans are in complete disarray.
Did you not hear the story about Matt Rule going to visit Jimmy Johnson on his boat down in Alamorado, the 3 Rings, and going fishing and soaking up all the information? And
Matt Rule's a great coach. I think everybody's all aboard Matt Rule. I remember I saw a video. I didn't watch game day last week, but I saw. Did you see Kirk Herbstreit said Matt Rule is the number 1 guy that Southern Cal needs to make say no. Make him ridiculous.
Yeah, I did see
say no. Yeah, there's no shot that happens. You don't go from the NFL when you're having success to college. But yeah, Matt Rule's awesome. And right now, this is what's going to happen for the Panthers right now. I'm just going to tell you right now. Sam Darnold's going to look good this year. They're going to narrowly miss the playoffs, but everyone's going to say, oh, the Panthers are close. The Panthers are close. Next year, there's going to be a lot of buzz around them, but Joe Brady's going to be the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, and the offense is going to go right back into the tank. Just
Patrick Perret just coming in hot
6'10",
this morning.
6'10", and on September 24th, that's what's going to happen to the Panthers next year. So bandwagon fans, jump aboard at your own risk.
3-0 is as good as you can be, but the 3 wins are a couple of wins at home against the Jets and the Saints, and then on the road at the Texans.
So realistically, 2 of maybe the worst 3 teams in football.
Yeah, but you got to take what you can get right now. And making the playoffs this year, I know you said they won't make the playoffs this year, but making the playoffs this year would be a huge accomplishment for them. And who knows, Patrick? Maybe you luck up and you get Joe Brady for 1 more year. But I think your scenario, your timeline there actually is pretty good. But it'll be interesting to see what Matt Rule could do after if or when he loses Joe Brady. But I like what they're doing, man. They've built that organization out with defense. The defense is playing really well. They're going to need to stock up on some offensive playmakers. And you're right. Right now, rebuilding Sam Darnold, it looks pretty good. I'm interested to see where this franchise goes. Not
even playmakers, though, because they have playmakers. I mean, they need an offensive line is what they need so they can efficiently run the football and not rely on Christian McCaffrey, because DJ Moore's awesome. DJ Moore is among the most underrated receivers in the NFL right now.
I think, to me, when you talk about the Panthers, and this is the point you just made up, you're trying to position yourself for the end of the Tom Brady era. Mm-hmm. And, you look at that division, the Saints, they just thumped them last weekend. The Falcons are 0-2, and then you got the Bucs who are 2-0. But can the Panthers position themselves? And, again, you look really across the rest of the NFC. Green Bay is going to go through massive change with Aaron Rodgers coming up. I guess the NFC West is – Patrick, is the NFC West, as I kind of look at this, the division
set football? Yeah.
Is it set to take the stranglehold of the NFC here? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a very realistic chance that all 4 NFC West teams end up making the playoffs. Yeah. That would not surprise me for a second. And now that there's the extra wild card team, that can be possible. But I think they need to focus on the division first. I mean, before you start looking big picture at the conference, because it is going to be there for the taking in the coming years. Tom Brady's this is probably going to be 2 or 3 more years at most. And then the Saints are going through a massive rebuild. It's only going to get worse for the Saints because they still have so much money tied up right now that if Jameis isn't the guy, and even if Jameis is the guy, they're going to have to pay him a lot, and that's not going to be easy to take on financially. And the Falcons, the only reason they're not completely in the gutter or going to be because they're paying Matt Ryan so much money. I bet they would love to blow that thing up and just kind of restart fresh, because that era of dominance never really amounted to a Super Bowl berth, but it's really disappointing for Falcons fans that that's all they got out of being one of the best teams in the league year after year. So it's going to be there for the Panthers in the immediate future if Sam Darnold is the guy, but we shall see.
Brandon hitting us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line as well this morning. Go Bucks, he says. Panthers will be a solid 3rd place in the South, maybe 2nd if Jameis goes full Jameis. Okay.
I mean, they have to completely write off last week, though, as a Panthers fan. The Saints had no coaches, and all of their best players on defense, except for Cam Jordan, were out with COVID. So it's a kind of weak 3-0, but 3-0 is 3-0. So I would certainly take it if I was a Panthers fan.
5th time in franchise history, I believe it is. And, good to feel good this morning. Big picture, though, press a little pause there.
Also, have you guys seen Davis Mills' neck?
Yeah, I just saw a picture of it on the social media.
It's all we were talking about last night when we were talking about that game at work. Have you seen it, Bill?
Is it the length? Are you referring to the length of it, or what do you?
It's the longest neck I've ever seen on a human being. I'll find a picture.
I noticed it. Obviously, the fact that I was able to. That's what I thought you might be referencing, but I don't know. I guess I didn't pay enough attention.
No, it's quite stunning. I'm gonna retweet a picture of it. I'll find one real quick. _ Patrick Perret. It's the largest neck. It's the largest neck in the world.
Did you guys check out any of the Marshall Appalachian State game last night? Ended up being a heck of a ball game. 31-30, the final score. App State pulls it out at home. Bill, did you check out that one at all?
I watched about the first 45 minutes of it and then flipped over to the Texans and the Panthers. And and took in more of that than I did Marshall and App State. Probably might have made the wrong decision on that.
Pretty awesome kick return. I did see that highlight a couple times.
Yeah.
Are they even going to be able? Is the special teams coach for App State even going to be able to show that in the film room? Because truly, everyone in the stadium and the cameraman was faked out by that. I didn't even see a highlight of it because the overhead view just lost the guy.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I think they still do it. I think the teams still get their own overhead cameras going as well. Maybe that's a high school thing, and they do rely on the TV for it. I'm thinking they had their own, and that might be the way you go there. What the fake reverse is how that happened. It was a true freshman. I think they ended up running it 99 yards back. App State ends up surviving over Marshall 31-30. Great Thursday night college football game last night. The Braves lose 6-4 to the Diamondbacks yesterday, but still in great shape. I think at last check I saw their magic number at 10. I don't know if it got down to single digits or not. You got the Ryder Cup teeing off today, as well as obviously plenty of college football to discuss. Carolina calls last night. Shane Beamer confirming Luke Doty will start for the Gamecocks. Zeb Nolan will be available. Xavier Legette still out with an injury. Other than that, I think the Gamecocks in relatively good shape from an injury standpoint, according to Shane Beamer last night. And we'll let you hear some of the best of what he had to say on Carolina calls. But we need to start this morning. We need to start the right way. I haven't heard from Gamecock Larry in a little bit. Maybe take a day or two off. And anytime that happens, I feel like we're throwing off our axis a little bit. Good to hear that Gamecock Larry's up with us. I'm wondering how fired up you are this morning, sir.
I'm not feeling too good. Been under the weather for the last while. I just wanted to call, make a prediction. I've listened to the radio station about 9 hours a day all week. Didn't feel like calling. Still, I'll be okay. The good Lord got everything in His hands. That's all right. But it's hard to make a prediction, but I've listened to the radio, what I heard on the radio and all that. But I watched that Kentucky game Tuesday, I think it was, and they looked pretty good. But I don't see if Chattanooga can run like that against Kentucky. I think our running back's going to break out this weekend, and our offense going to play good. The line going to really be improved, and we're going to see that defense that the players is talking about in practice. So that defense, nobody was going to know what they were doing. I think they're going to shut them down pretty good. I figure the score is going to be about 34 maybe to 17. That's about all I got to say. Go Gamecocks. Hate to hear about JC. That's about all I got to say. I can't get. I just don't know what's wrong with it. Everything's okay. But hey, I'll talk to you guys later. Okay.
All right, Larry, hang in there, man. Hope you feel better soon. 34-17, he says. Gamecocks win. This is the first time I'm looking at the numbers. And Larry was referring to last week, Kentucky beats Chattanooga just by 5 points. We brought up the final score. Have you guys looked at this box score? If you have not, please play the guessing game with me. How many rushing yards do you think Chattanooga had? How many rushing yards do you think Kentucky had? Chattanooga down with 28 carries, Kentucky down with 27 carries for the game last week. You guys want to guess?
Yeah, I rewatched part of this game at some point this week, and Chattanooga did have success. I want to say, Tim, they were around the 200-yard, maybe a little over 200 yards rushing.
Okay, Patrick, you want to take a guess?
I do know the answer.
Okay, Bill, what's your guess for the Kentucky rushing total?
They didn't have a good game offense. I think they were around 150.
171 for Chattanooga, 102 for Kentucky. Okay. Patrick, what were you going to say? Didn't mean to cut you off.
The kid who ran for 128 yards against them. I don't know if his name's Aleem or Eileen Ford. He's from Florence.
21 carries, 128 yards, had a long of 48. Really interesting numbers for sure. And Will Levis, we've been talking up pretty good on the program, and looked really good against Missouri. 23 out of 35 for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in the ballgame. So total yardage wise was really similar. I guess Kentucky a few more total yards, 356 to about 340, right? 339, I think it might be what the total was there. So how much stock, I guess, is the question, do you put in that game, or do you look more at the Missouri game? You say this thing was in between SEC games, so you give Kentucky a pass. Patrick, where are you in that, I guess, evaluation of Kentucky football from last week and so far this season?
Well, I'm giving them a pass. I can't see. I mean, obviously I can see because we're biased, or South Carolina fans are biased, and they want to frame things in the way that's best for South Carolina. But I don't see how you can say, well, Kentucky looked vulnerable against Chattanooga, so South Carolina is going to beat them, when South Carolina looked vulnerable against East Carolina and got whooped by Georgia. So if you're just comparing resumes and you want to do that straight up, I think you have to either accept all outcomes, or you can just reject everything out of hand and say this is a new week. But I think Kentucky was just caught sleeping last week. They still won the football game, and they're looking ahead. I mean, they've got a brutal schedule coming up, and they've got to get right against South Carolina. So I think that was more of a, we slept walking into this game. We thought we were just going to roll out there, roll our helmets out there and crush them. And turns out that's not the case. And I think they will be much more ready to play. They're not going to undervalue the noise or anything like that, the overall atmosphere at Williams-Brice on Saturday.
Bill, how much stock do you put in 28-23 Kentucky over Chattanooga last week?
The one thing that I put stock in is they threw 35 passes and 27 rushes. That's not, now granted, new offensive coordinator Liam Cohen coming from the Sean McVay NFL tree there. That's not a typical thing for Kentucky. And Patrick, normally I'd agree with you that they overlooked them. But to me, this is a team that tried to kind of fit a square peg in a round hole last week. That's not who Kentucky's been. It's all great and dandy when you're playing against Louisiana Monroe and you're slinging it all over the field with no problem. Last week, it feels like Chris Rodriguez only got 13 carries for 46 yards. Cavassier Smoke had 7 for 27. They didn't really dedicate themselves to the run game. And the only reason I do take something away from that is it feels like that they went out and got away from what Kentucky football is. I do know that you've got to add some type of passing game for Kentucky to move forward with that program. But last week seems to be the example. 35 attempts from Will Levis. He threw 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. It feels like this team wants to become more pass happy. And guys, I'm not sure that's their bread and butter.
Well,
I mean, Kentucky has run the football and play defense, win the lines of scrimmage and run the football. And that's what I think has made that program better over the last few years. I'll be interested to see tomorrow night if they're willing to line up and run the football on South Carolina, or if this newfound passing attack is what they try to win the game with.
All right, we got a break, but we got to get back into that because I disagree with most of that.
I love it. Patrick's coming in hot.
Mustache looks ugly.
I don't have my comb yet, and I haven't put the victory wax on.
You don't have it yet, do you? Did you get it yesterday?
Nah, it'll get here Monday.
Don't hype it up then. Don't hype it up. If you're coming strong, then you got to be strong all the way.
You know,
around.
it was actually supposed to be here Friday, but I had my card saved on my Amazon account, and it was a card that had already expired, so I didn't update my payment information. But they didn't tell me that till 2 days after. It was about to ship out, and they said, "Oh, actually, your payment was declined."
That's a good thing. Patrick.
Come on, guys.
You don't want to keep that card on file, man. That's bad news. Just bad news. The one-click buying is not good. Not a good place to be. 803-404-6100. We'll get the poll question up and rolling about what you think is going to happen. A lot of predictions flowing in. For instance, Chuck says 23-17 Gamecocks. He says it's a passion pick. I'll admit it. And he admits that Kentucky's a step ahead program-wise, and that made him throw up in his mouth. That's a good start to a Friday morning, isn't it? That's what we're here for. Or maybe we'll try to keep the nausea down. We'll see. Let you hear from Shane Beamer some of what he had to say last night at Carolina Calls when we come right back. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn. You're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Bill, how you doing this morning?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty
Yeah.
good. Helps that we just stayed in one comfy spot instead of trying to move around, though.
Bro,
got
that score, that's a whooping.
Yeah. We got the Ryder Cup on. I'm actually, probably because I ended up having to watch a bunch of the pregame Ryder Cup stuff and the press conferences, I'm actually pretty geared up for this today.
Yeah.
A friend of mine up in Wisconsin, her husband is working, has a booth or a tent or something at the Ryder Cup. So the two of them were out there yesterday and got photobombed by the shark. That was kind of fun.
That'd be cool.
So.
Where's the Ryder Cup?
It's in
Whistling Straits.
It's in Kohler, Wisconsin. Did you see the story about the family, Tim?
The Kohler family? Did not.
I don't know if it was the Kohler. I guess maybe it was like the dad who's about 87. I mean, it was just kind of crazy because Kohler, I mean, I guess that's a lot of bathroom, stuff. But then the dad just started buying properties with Pete Dye and building extremely high-end golf courses up there. What's the other one? Black Bear Run, I think, was the other one. But it was really like, it's kind of one of those like they just run the town kind of thing. But and so that's the name. The town is named after them. It's kind of interesting.
What do you guys think I should go with numbers wise here? I was thinking Gamecocks win by 1-6 or just 7 or more, and then Kentucky the same thing.
Yep, I think those two are good. Those two, both sides of it. There's your 4. There's your 4 selections.
Does the Ryder Cup start at 8? Is that right? That's what I thought.
Ryder Cup, yep. First group tees off at like 8:05. Spieth and Thomas versus Sergio and John Rahm.
So how does this work? They rotate shots?
Yep,
right?
it's foursome alternate shot today.
Do you pick the order?
Yeah.
So who's Bryson with?
He's not in the morning session. They were saying with him that he's really hard to play with in alternate shot. One, because like if you and I play different golf balls, like that golf ball you play and those guys, I mean, I guess you and I we're the non-professionals where we just grab a ball out of the bag. Could be a Callaway, could be a Titleist, could be something else, whatever. But like they were talking about like range ball, yeah, practice, yeah.
What kind of ball do you use?
Huh?
Does the Ryder Cup pick the ball, or you?
No, you play you have your ball. So like Dustin Johnson and Colin Morikawa, they play second. They actually use the same Titleist golf ball.
I thought everybody used the Pro V1 in professional golf.
No, apparently not everybody. But so anyway, so that was one of the things, and also was talking about like they were talking yesterday about. So you got Koepka and Berger, you got Dustin Johnson and Morikawa at 8:21 versus Paul Casey and Victor Hovland. Koepka, Berger versus Lee Westwood, Matt Fitzpatrick at 8:37, and Patrick Cantley, Alexander Schauffele is the last one versus McIlroy and Ian Poulter.
So, is Bryson gonna hit the drive on every hole, or is he?
He's not playing this morning. He probably will not play today.
But what does that mean? So there's afternoon and morning sessions, or what?
Right. Yeah, you got 5 total sessions. You got a morning round and an afternoon round today and tomorrow, and then Sunday it's all singles. So what is that? 12 on 12? Is that right, Tim? Is that what I'm thinking?
Yep. Everybody plays their own ball, individual matches, match play.
Yep. So yeah. So you played. I forget what the format tomorrow is.
Different?
Best
They
ball.
change-
Is that right?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know that it switches, it rotates. Definitely could be.
Man, I know nothing about the Ryder Cup.
Patrick, what it comes down to is that nobody wants to play with Bryson.
Well, yeah, I figured that much, but I was just thinking of the alternating shots. Like, wouldn't that be perfect where he just drives it a mile and then someone that's actually good with their irons comes in and takes it home?
Well,
No,
no,
because then he has to hit another shot, and they have to actually communicate and be on the same page. And that guy is not even on the same planet as anybody.
Yeah.
Well,
We're hiding back in.
plus how he plays a course is
3.
different than 95% of the people out there. Like, you
Isn't
hit
that
your
because-
drive with the idea of I'm going to put it here so that I've got this iron in because that's my good iron.
I mean, she was listening to the radio the other day, and whatever she was listening to, the hosts were comparing me to Lou Holtz, that I was building up the opponent to be better than what they were when I was talking about the quarterback. Well, that is 100% false when you start talking about Kentucky's quarterback. I mean, he can make every single throw on the field, has amazing arm talent. I mean, he sits back in the pocket and they max protect, and he's throwing 50, 60-yard deep balls and corner routes and things like that. So it'll be a big challenge for our guys. They're number 2 in the country in explosive pass plays.
Yeah.
Our defense is top 15 in the country, I think, in stopping explosive passes. The key to the game, and they're a good football team, and just like you, I have a ton of respect for Coach Stoops and their program.
Shane Beamer, Todd Ellis last night on Carolina Calls from Learfield Sports right here on 107.5 The Game.
He knew our names.
Listening to whatever? Oh, man.
He knows.
That is. Whew,
I'll stand by the part that I said. He said that Will Levis throws the best deep ball he's ever seen. I'm saying baloney. He's in all of his years around football, he's never seen anyone throw a better deep ball than Will Levis.
I mean, he did play with Michael
He
Vick.
did what? Who did he see in his time at Oklahoma? It was Spencer Rattler and Kyler Murray. Is that the only 2 he saw?
I think
I
he
don't
got,
know. I mean,
did
you
he get
saw a
Jalen
lot of
Hurts?
good.
I think he
Did
got
he get
Jalen Hurts for a year.
here?
Well, Will Levis throws better deep ball than Jalen Hurts. I'll give him that.
Hey, just start. You don't have to go past Michael Vick. You played with Mike Vick. That was pretty good deep ball. But the point was that was mischaracterized. You see it. Shane Beamer just did the media thing on us. He just flipped it on us. We didn't say he was Lou Holtz. I think this was
No, technically his wife said that. Miss Beamer, that's not
that, or she told him. What we said was it's really interesting to hear Shane Beamer through 4 weeks talk about the other teams and any head coach. And the spectrum is, especially for Gamecock fans, you got Steve Spurrier and Will Muschamp, who didn't really talk up other teams so much. Then you got the most infamous head coach of all time hyping up another team in Lou Holtz. And through 4 weeks, from what I've heard, from what we've heard, I think it's fair to say that on that spectrum, that Shane Beamer is a little closer to Lou Holtz than he is to Steve Spurrier and Will Muschamp. But again, I would put him, slightly past the halfway point towards Lou Holtz, not all the way down on Lou Holtz, but that is a classic media trick that Shane Beamer just pulled on that one. That we're just calling him Lou Holtz for hyping things up and the whole thing. The long ball, maybe that's where that's coming from, Patrick.
There are worse people to be compared to than
No
Lou
doubt.
Holtz as well.
No doubt about it, man. And again, we haven't heard Shane Beamer talk about anything about what happened last week with Kentucky and Chattanooga, dealing with those facts. And I get it. And I agree with, I think both you guys are saying that you give Kentucky a bit of a pass there, and that's probably not going to be the same version of Kentucky that you get Saturday night at Williams-Brice in an SEC game and an SEC East battle that they've owned 6 of the last 7 years. they're going to be they're going to play better most likely tomorrow night than they played last Saturday for sure. We all understand, man, 1 week to the next in college football, it can be drastically different. I get that for sure, but I mean that was a little overhyped from Shane Beamer in my opinion, but yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. He definitely is still at the point where he is getting the message out. Last night continued to talk about the importance of the crowd and the whole deal, and there's no doubt about it. I think at last point I saw Eric Nichols over at USC yesterday say there are less than 800 tickets, I think, still available for the Carolina and Kentucky game tomorrow night. So trying to get that sell out, I think that is very important. The home field advantage will be very important, and Shane Beamer talked about how Kentucky hasn't gone on the road in a true road game environment like they're about to see tomorrow night since 2019. It was part of the issue with the Gamecocks at Georgia last week with the miscommunication and the whole thing, just a lack of experience in that, Bill. So this all kind of sets up the environment for tomorrow night that I think is back to where college football just seasonally gets in Columbia. Fortunately for us, after a year break last year with the not capacity crowd allowed at Williams-Brice Stadium, it's just so nice in so many ways to see this all developing. And now it's about game time. What are we? Let's do the math. 36 and a half hours away.
Oh, very solid. It is interesting. This will be Kentucky's. I mean, I guess last year. I don't know how loud certain stadiums got last year, but it really will be Kentucky's first true road trip since October 19th of 2019. They went to Georgia and lost 21-0 in that game. After that, they had a road game at Vanderbilt. Well, anybody that's ever been to Nashville knows that's not a road environment. So it's been a while since Kentucky's had to deal with real challenges regarding the crowd. Now, I'm with Shane. You know, you're going to get a live environment tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Weather's going to be fantastic. I also worry about it the other way, though. Can South Carolina, one of the biggest things under Will Muschamp is something he said early on, Tim, that we kind of talked about, and that was that Will Muschamp for night games, at times he said his staff had to almost keep him away from the football team because he would get so fired up. He would get so intense. And I don't think Shane Beamer is that kind of intense. There can be different levels of intense or different ways of being intense. But this team South Carolina, while Kentucky has to deal with the crowd and deal with the volume and the noise and everything that's going on, South Carolina also has to come out and not let the emotion get the best of them early on. You know, we've seen the really dumb taunting penalties in the first few games. You can't come out and make a play and have a dumb taunting penalty that knocks you back after a big offensive play or gives the opposition 15 yards after a big stop. You can't come out and try and do a little bit too much on a running play and get stripped and end up fumbling and giving Kentucky an early opportunity. South Carolina, it's different ways of handling the environment tomorrow night, and it's going to be interesting early on who handles that environment better in the first quarter.
What have we seen through 3 games from Shane Beamer's demeanor to make us project how this team will handle it? Because from what I've seen, I think he's kind of made to be a head coach in a lot of ways, has been around it his whole life growing up with his dad doing it, and then been around programs for 21 years as an assistant coach. And he's got the arms crossed over there, but he's not afraid to get excited and the whole thing. I think the sideline demeanor is there, and he can figure out how to have his team tuned in. But you're right, Bill. It is going to be a challenge, and especially for where this program is, and a lot of these players being around this, if not for the first time ever, certainly for the first time in a while. It's not just controlling your emotions from being so positive and maybe being distracted in the whole thing. It's also, I think last year's team had a particularly tough time with this in the secondary, maybe, that you get the old hero syndrome, right? You're juiced up, you're ready to make a play, and you don't necessarily just do your assignment. You're going to go try to make the big play, right? The Kadarius Toney play at Florida is the classic example for the Gamecock secondary, where guys are going for knockout shots and he just goes through 5 guys and scores a touchdown. To me, that's the ideal example of guys letting emotions get in the way of what you're supposed to do. I think Clayton White is a tremendous compliment. He and Marcus Satterfield, to me, they don't come across as tremendously emotional coaches in that without the ability to calm a team down or have the team right in the sweet spot, especially Clayton White. Like just to hear him talk about his defense a couple of weeks ago, to see that defense play with emotion, but also to know how vital assignments are. I have a pretty solid confidence in the first year coaching staff that they'll get this team dialed in and they'll be kind of attuned to what you're talking about, Bill, that it is a challenge, a great challenge to have, right? A great situation to have with your home crowd getting filled up and all the emotion involved there.
I mean, it's simple things that you can't have dumb penalties early on, not just the taunting, but you can't have false starts on the offensive line. This team right now can't shoot itself in the foot. You can't break the huddle with 12 guys or look over and there's 12 guys in the huddle. There's a lot of little things that South Carolina needs to do early on to get off to a good start and to keep that crowd in the game. You keep that crowd in the game early on, it's going to get tougher and tougher and tougher for Kentucky. And if South Carolina can come out and be able to hit a play early on, get a lead, and then get a few stops, who knows where it goes. I'm in agreement, by the way. One of the texters there, Will, on the text line points out that Levis has thrown an interception in every game with a 70 QBR. Why exactly are we hyping him? I'll tell you why we're hyping him. And Patrick, I think, will agree with this. It's because technically he probably is the best passing Kentucky quarterback we've seen since, Andre Woodson, Tim? Does that seem fair?
Seems right to me.
Is that probably right? I mean, it's been a while since Kentucky has had a form of a passing game. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's all world. 367 yards against an awful Louisiana Monroe team in week 1. Just 179 against Missouri, and then 254 last week. So, it is Missouri is there on that schedule. But again, this is kind of like what South Carolina's gone through with the levels of competition. This is another step for Kentucky as well, trying to figure out what they are with Liam Cohen now as offensive coordinator.
No doubt about it. 803-404-6100 if you would like to weigh in. Clemson Allen says he's hoping Gamecock Larry feels better, and you do the opposite of Muschamp for night games at Williams-Brice because Muschamp was awful. Beth from Lamar says, how many of the tickets went to Kentucky fans? I would guess a couple of thousand like usual. I would think you'll have a solid Kentucky contingent in Columbia tomorrow night. A bunch more of you guys going with some predictions there. Sharp Spur says, my heart and my head says the Gamecocks are going to open up a can on the Wildcats. 28-17. Gamecock Larry, feel better. Go Gamecocks. And we've got the poll question up and rolling at Tim Hill 1075 on Twitter. What do you think is going to happen with the game tomorrow night at Williams-Brice? The Gamecocks winning a close one with half the early vote right now. In second place, Carolina winning by more than a touchdown, but not overwhelmingly over the Kentucky options, winning a close one at 15% of the vote and winning by 7 or more at 13% of the vote right now in last place. We'll see where this thing evolves. Again, you can go and vote on Twitter at Tim Hill 1075, where you can find me there. More from Shane Beamer and last night's Carolina calls when we come right back talking Gamecock quarterbacks. It's the early game. It's 1075 again.
1075 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. Free of charge. In your car. Free of charge. Online. Free of charge. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. Free of charge. 1075 The Game.
Going to be quite the environment. It's not just in between the lines that we're talking about tomorrow for the Carolina-Kentucky game. It's all over the place. Gamecock Park, the Gamecock Village in Gamecock Park will be doing a little something special tomorrow. Starts at 2:30 officially. If you're into fishing, if you're into boating, basically if you're like Phil, then Gamecock Village is the place to be. The exhibition going on tomorrow, one-of-a-kind deal. If anything you can think of
fishing and boating wise. It's going to be out at Gamecock Village, all the big time name brands. It's going to be the place to be for sure. Whatever you're looking for some tips, you're looking for maybe an upgrade with your boating situation, then you got to get out to Gamecock Village tomorrow night. It's going to be on the Bluff Road side of Williams-Brice Stadium. That's where Gamecock Park, Gamecock Village located. You won't be able to miss all the boating, all the boating options out there, the boating displays, fishing displays as well. Go check it out before the game tomorrow. Starts at 2:30. The fishing and boating exhibition across from Williams-Brice Stadium, Gamecock Park, and Gamecock Village.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. And it's 56 at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Indeed.com.
Sorry about those technical difficulties there.
Oh my gosh. Woo, it is windy out there this morning.
Gotta tell you, feels good in the garage. Feels good in the garage this morning.
Bet it does.
It's cold.
It's cold.
Yeah, it's like
No,
actually
it's-
cold. I wish I had a sweatshirt last night.
So if you
I'm
guys
trying to
change some,
pack and figure out if I need sweatshirts.
Have we
start
what?
checking the forecast.
What were you asking, Jen?
Oh, if you guys switch anything in your house, like you set up a new router or set up a printer, do you usually test it, to make sure it works?
What do you mean? Like I cut it on, and if it works, it works.
Right, but then, like, do you try to print something to make sure the connection is good or something like that?
Always. Yeah.
Okay.
Did that not happen in the studio? The printer doesn't work?
No. We, rerouted for this, that, and the other, and, now nothing works. And now we have, another station here that's, so she's trying to print, and like, okay, we'll just go ahead and get the stone tablets and chisels and,
Got to get a pterodactyl on a wheel. Do it Flintstone style.
There you go. I like that. Yeah. I don't understand making technical changes and never testing them. So that's just me. I'm just a dumb girl, so.
Somebody's having a case of the Fridays. So you got Wake Forest, Virginia tonight. That's a sneaky good game. Liberty and Syracuse.
What's the over/under? What's the over/under for Wake, Virginia? I bet it's in the 60s.
69.
Ooh.
Okay.
South Carolina, Kentucky is still at 5. Do we have what we're picking this weekend?
No, I'll get them in the 7 o'clock hour.
Kentucky, South Carolina, Notre Dame, Wisconsin.
Good job.
Yeah. Oh, Patrick, your Maryland is only a 14.5-point favorite over Kent State.
Yeah, I said yesterday they're not covering that.
Really?
No. That's not what Maryland does. Well, actually, no, I changed my mind. Maryland's going to cover that. They're probably going to win by 30, and there's going to be ridiculous amount of buzz next week in College Park about Iowa coming on a Friday night to the blackout. It's already sold out. Parking's already sold out. They weren't going to open the tailgate lots until 4 p.m. and everybody freaked out, so now they're opening them earlier. It's going to be electric, and they're going to lose by probably 28 points.
I forget. Is Maryland still undefeated, or did they lose one?
No, they're undefeated. It's going to be a top 25 matchup next Friday. Maybe a top 20 matchup.
Tennessee, Florida's down to 19.5.
We're back in.
Let's do Beamer, please. Numero uno.
All right. The international show has begun.
Buenos dias.
And playing a really physical game on Saturday night. But like I've said in the media this week, I mean, what a warrior that kid is to go into that environment he practiced last week, but very limited in what he did in practice. He didn't get nearly the amount of reps as Zeb did, obviously. But to go in that environment and compete and play like he did, be willing to run, sit in there and sit in the pocket and make throws, knowing that he was about to get hit. I had a ton of respect for Luke already, but it only did grow immensely in that game on Saturday night. But his health is good. He's practiced every day this week. Has looked good. Hasn't had to be held back and excited for a even more healthy Luke Doty on Saturday night and Luke Day.
Shane Beamer, last night, Carolina calls, Learfield Sports right here on 107.5 The Game. Luke Doty will start for the first time this season. Bill, how do you think Luke Doty will perform against Kentucky? And I guess maybe as equally important, how important is his performance related to the outcome of the game?
Well, I mean, number one, it's extremely important. South Carolina's got to get some good quarterback play to the point that I think Doty even needs to make a play or two to win the football game. That's asking a lot.
Can I stop you right there? When's the last time that happened? A Gamecock quarterback won him a football game.
Oh, well, there was. Well, you know what? I would say Jake Bentley made a play or two against his freshman year against Tennessee. That game, there was a night game. There was one play in particular I'm thinking of. I think it was a 4th down where he started left and bounced off some guys, ran back, reversed field.
Ole Miss
Scored
a million points in that game. Played really well.
All right. Okay. So yeah, you're right. Few and far between, Tim. Not saying that that's the norm around here, but Luke certainly tomorrow night, and by making a play. One thing that I think we're all surprised with, South Carolina has shown the ability to hit the deep ball. Josh Vann is there. Josh Vann is going to get open tomorrow night. Jaheim Bell could get open deep. We've seen that. Jalen Brooks has been open. And I guess when I just say that, he's got to hit that pass. Now, I guess he's got to hit him in the hands. It's on those guys to come down with the pass, Jalen Brooks in particular. But the bottom line is you're going to get that chance tomorrow night, and you need to be successful with it. Also, his feet, his legs, if that offensive line is better but still is giving up some pressures, he's going to have to be able to scramble, and whether it's keeping a play alive or rushing for the first down, rushing for yardage, he's going to have to be able to do that. I am very intrigued to see, now that he's had a full week of practice under him, from what we hear from Shane Beamer, what is the improvement, given that, look, I was shocked to find out that after everything we'd heard, dressing out for the first 2 games and coming back, that the first 11-on-11 work was last Thursday. So what does it look like now that he's had a full week to really get out there and take the number 1 snaps all to himself and get back into rhythm?
And how healthy is that foot strength? How effective can he be running the football? Because we didn't see a mobile Luke Doty or near as mobile Luke Doty playing against Georgia that we have seen in the past. David says it's the other way. We're not paying attention to the important stuff. He says defense and special teams. That's how we win games to beat Kentucky. Clayton White has coached against them as the Western Kentucky coach. And Bill, that's
no,
why.
45.
One more time, Patrick.
No, he hasn't.
Never played Kentucky at Western Kentucky.
Not this Kentucky team. I got to respond to that because it ties into what Bill said in the first hour. He's never coached against Liam Cohen. He never coached against the Los Angeles Rams. Clayton White has not
30.
This Kentucky team.
And what else did you want to come back to against Bill about?
It ties into that point. It ties into that greater point about Kentucky's bread and butter.
You're gonna save it for hour number 2. Is that what you're doing
15.
right now?
Yeah, because it's like a larger,
Oh,
it's a larger point, and I got to respond to Will saying, "Why are we hyping up Will Levis?"
We got
It's a lot
4
of
more
things.
seconds though, man.
People are grinding my gears in this opening hour.
Love it. How old are you?
Consider my gears ground.
Your gears are, yeah.
KTFM, Eastover, Columbia.
Clear.
Sports. all the time. 107.5 The Game.
Bill's like, what are gears? Gears?
Camera down. Everything all right over there?
Man.
Yeah.
Fired up that
It's hard. I keep moving around my laptop because it's on my lap. I'm in the hot sun.
is technically Clayton White even coached against Western Kentucky?
You mean
Or
against
I'm sorry,
Kentucky?
against Kentucky?
I don't know. Didn't bother to check.
I don't see.
Surely they played them in the last several years.
I don't see it back to 2018.
But I mean, he was in the same state, so by osmosis, gotta be healthy.
What city is Western Kentucky in?
Oh, I do know that.
I should know that because of Darren Horn.
Yeah. That's not
Frankfurt?
What's that, Patrick?
Is it Frankfurt?
I don't think so.
I just like the name of. I just like Frankfurt, Kentucky. Oh, it's in Bowling Green.
Is it really? I would never have gotten it.
Bowling Green, Kentucky.
I'm gonna go say hi to my kids real.
See how far Bowling Green, Kentucky is to Lexington.
Yeah, technically,
It's real close to Nashville too. Like less than an hour. Yeah.
It's 2 hours and 20 minutes from Lexington.
yeah. For the record, Kentucky and Western Kentucky never played, even during Clayton White's time there.
I think that texter said that twice too. I think he said that yesterday. Nope. Never mind. Somebody else. Wait. David. Yes. He said the exact same thing yesterday at 6:33 in the morning.
Yeah, no, I don't see Western Kentucky on the schedule there for Kentucky.
It's funny that he just assumes that.
Dude, Southern Cal, man, their quarterback issue. You see where Jackson Dart is out now after undergoing surgery?
Yeah, that's a shame because that is a sweet quarterback name. That kid's from California, I hope.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, and it's also Jackson with an X, which is awesome. No, he's from
Oh,
Utah.
wow.
Jaxson, Dart. Unbelievable name. Four-star.
I feel like.
Did you look at Davis Mills' neck, Bill?
I'll look at it.
Look,
Yes.
I retweeted a picture of it. It's absurd. It's truly absurd.
Do I not have Twitter?
I really feel like I'm not overselling it either.
Yeah, you definitely now have the curiosity going.
Well, I did notice it last night. I just didn't.
There's also a picture of him coming off the field and David Culley holding him by his neck, and there's still so much space. Like his hands only touch the neck; it doesn't reach his head.
Let's see here. Let's look up Patrick Perret. There we go. It is a big, strong neck, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Mike Glennon had a big neck too, if I'm not mistaken. Who had the most famous non-existent neck? There's always linebackers that don't have necks. Derek Brooks, I don't think, had a neck. Who was the linebacker for the Buffalo Bills in that era? Takeo Spikes. No neck.
Oh, from Auburn.
Yeah. He's actually got one of the most famous necks, or most famous lack of a neck. Is it Takeo or Takeo?
That was Takeo.
Spike's neck. I typed in Takeo Spikes, and Takeo Spike's neck is the first thing that pops up. Look at this thing. Oh my goodness, there's no neck there.
Oh,
What was Lesney? Does he not have a neck either?
that was the Penn State linebacker, right?
Yeah, is he known for not having a neck?
That seems
This
about
is a
right.
Sturdy neck. His neck's wider than his head. It's pretty impressive.
You know, looking at the Davis Mills picture that you tweeted, the first thing I saw is the Lombardi Trophy. Like, to me, that's what his neck and head reminds me of.
Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of does.
Yeah.
I mean, that picture looks like someone photoshopped it to make his neck look bigger.
Yeah.
But
Like
they
that they
didn't.
stuck a little head that's too little on the neck. Oh, bless him. It is one of those things that kind of makes want to not look or keep looking.
I would be worried about him every day. Like, how do you not break your neck so many times throughout the course of the day? I would always be worried about it. Like, if that was my friend, I would never like run up behind him and push him in the back because I feel like his neck would just snap.
Oh, wait a minute. How many friends are you just running up behind anyway and pushing in the back just to?
Well, it's like if you see someone, like if I see someone in public that I'm not there with, or like I've run into somebody at the mall, like I'll go up and shove him and make him think like, oh, somebody's pushing me.
This
like,
is what
I
you
would
do
never
to it's what you do to your friends. Is if you see somebody at the grocery store, you just go up behind them and shove them just to confuse them.
Sure, but I would never do that to Davis Mills because I would think that I would possibly kill him.
There's somebody replied to that, the tweet that you had retweeted, that the Marquis Smith, the safety, see with Cleveland.
There it is, the longest neck in the world.
It does. There is a bit of a giraffe look going on there. You want the ears.
I'm telling you, the Lombardi Trophy.
Wow, Marquis Smith in that picture, Jen. It does have a tremendous neck.
Yeah.
Oh my
Bill,
goodness.
surely you brought up the old man Merton Hanks.
Oh, I forgot about Merton Hanks. No.
He's the greatest.
See, this is a Photoshop. That is not really his neck.
Yeah. There are some actually kind of funny Photoshops in this.
Oh yeah, Taquio Spikes did make it into the replies. Taquio Spikes has one of the more famous necks out there. This is truly insane. His shoulders just turn into his head.
He made about 100 tackles when he played at Williams-Brice back in the day. I think in 88 or 9.
He was awesome.
What do you guys want to do for Sport Court there at 7:30? Must win? Can we do must win?
That's going to be hard to argue in favor of must win.
Really?
For me,
What do you
well,
think?
Yeah, you got a hard line stance on something.
Oh, wait. For Sport Court, I have only hard line stances.
I can be the witness today.
Okay. We'll see if we can grind your gears on the stand.
Yeah, once we turn him loose on the opening segment about all the things that are grinding his gears, we might come across something right then.
Good point.
Okay, sir.
John K. Patrick's gears are always grinding. Is this man ever happy? Patrick.
Rarely. How many people are happy at 6 a.m. in the morning anyway, though? Realistically.
My 6-year-old certainly was not happy right now. Trying to drag him out of bed and send him off to school here just a second ago. Patrick, another question for you on the text line. Who's going to finish second for the Heisman? Clearly, by your hype, Levis is a sure shot at winning it. Patrick, who's Kentucky going to play in the national championship? Josh from Lexington wants to know. He's got questions for you.
Oh, Josh from Lexington thinks he's a funny guy, huh? Matt Corral's going to win the Heisman.
I think you're right on that right now.
Yeah.
Definitely has a great shot to do it. Ole
Matt
Miss has
Corral has the highest yards per attempt in the SEC right now. You know who's number 2?
that.
Highest yards per attempt? Yeah. You're going to tell me Will Levis?
Nolan or Luke Doty? It's got to be Doty, I would guess, right?
Pretty sure it's Will Levis.
Oh, okay.
I have so many tabs open my computer right now. I can't even find it.
Most
It's
of them are
Friday
just
morning.
pictures of NFL players with long necks, as was the discussion in the break on the live stream. We were just going through after Davis, the picture that Patrick retweeted last night of Davis Mills, that I think originally from Charlotte, went out to Stanford and had a decent career out at Stanford. Now the backup quarter, technically the third string, I guess, for the Texans, but with the Deshaun Watson situation, the Tyrod Taylor issue, now getting his shot for the Texans.
Yeah, so that's the thing for the Carolina Panthers this morning. You wake up, you're 3-0 for just the fifth time in franchise history. Excellent. As good as you can be. And then you realize in that 24-9 win last night in Houston that you lost Christian McCaffrey with a hamstring deal. Not sure exactly how severe that thing is. You are sure that it's a pretty bad injury to J.C. Horn with broken bones, I think plural, in his foot. And it looks like I don't think they announced specifically out for the season, but I don't know how you're going to get around that. A big bummer, kind of the wet blanket to throw on that 3-0 last night. Also, the fact that you played three teams that aren't exactly the cream of the crop in the NFL. A Saints team that came into Charlotte a couple of weeks ago, or not even a couple of weeks ago, less than a week ago, with 8 coaches out and definitely not at 100%. And then you started with the Jets at home with a win there, and then last night you went to maybe the most dysfunctional franchise in professional sports right now with the Houston Texans and that Deshaun Watson situation. Winning games is good. How much this projects to a really, really good season for the Carolina Panthers, that I'm still have a huge question mark with that. As do a lot of Gamecock fans, I think, around the Carolina football team, and I think that question mark really goes away in a big way after tomorrow night's game against Kentucky, where the Gamecocks a handful of points underdog against a Kentucky team that we are kind of, I'd say it's a fair debate this morning. How good is this Kentucky team? Saw them play against Missouri. They should have won the game by more than they did. They look pretty impressive. And then I look at the numbers from last week's 28-23 win against Chattanooga, where they get outrushed, where Will Levis turns it over 3 times, knowing that he's thrown an interception in every game so far as the Kentucky quarterback. I'm not sold on them being a top 25 like team. I'm not sure if they're that. I'm not sure if they are more of what they've been in the past, Bill, just with some better tools right now. Wan'Dale Robinson, clearly a good player on the outside. Levis clearly with some tools, but to be a good player in the SEC, you got to go on the road and get some wins. That's always been a struggle for Mark Stoops and his program. He's averaged just 1 road win in the SEC in his 8 seasons.
Look, I mean, you're right. We've gotten to the point we are building Kentucky up a little bit more than typically would, but that's where South Carolina's football program is at this point in time. But tomorrow night's a very winnable game. We were talking about it on the live stream off air. It's a 5-point spread tomorrow night. This is not a game in which you go into as a 2-touchdown underdog and it would be some massive upset. South Carolina can win this game. South Carolina's got enough talent on the lines of scrimmage. They can win this game. Now, the thing is that we all want to know is, can the offensive line block? Because I kind of continue to believe it's not a talent issue that is holding them back. It is a scheme issue and a communication issue, something there where you just are absolutely turning guys free onto your quarterback. Did they get that corrected this week? Did they figure out what was necessary to get communication right so that Javon Gwynn is not just like staring at a guy as he goes blowing by him to pummel whomever the quarterback is back there? Defensive line, again, South Carolina should hold their own tomorrow night. Yeah, they might give up a run here or there to Chris Rodriguez, but at the same time, I would expect to see J.J. Ngbari in the backfield, Jordan Birch, to see Aaron Sterling, who's had a good start to the season. The offense and defensive lines tomorrow night, very interesting again, as we talked about it yesterday, and y'all tried to figure out what exactly is a barometer, but where South Carolina matches up with a Kentucky team that is one of the more stable programs in the SEC, not named Georgia or Florida.
So, Patrick, I think clearly you're putting a little bit more stock in the blowout win in game number 1 against Monroe, and then a conference win in game number 2 against Mizzou. Wanted to give a couple of of numbers for that game. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. Chris Rodriguez ran for less than 50 yards against Chattanooga. Kentucky as a team ran for like 100 yards. See his numbers against Missouri?
Yeah, 198 yards.
I got 205 in front of me. But 27 carries, 205. And as a team, Kentucky ran for 340. Also threw for 180 more. Basically had 520 yards of total offense against Mizzou. And then they go up and struggle to move the football against Chattanooga. They don't go up; they stay at home. And last week, so that I think that's why appropriately you put a little bit more stock into the conference game and what happened with Kentucky against Missouri. The matchup between a couple of first-year coordinators on that side of the ball, and Liam Cohen coming from the LA Rams and the Sean McVay tree, and then Clayton White coming from Western Kentucky, so knowing plenty about the Kentucky program, at least, even if, and do we confirm, never faced the University of Kentucky while he was at Western Kentucky, Bill? Did you confirm
right,
that?
I don't see any game with Western Kentucky versus Kentucky dating back to 2017 when Clayton White arrived at Western Kentucky.
So that matchup going to be fascinating. Always interesting on the offensive side of the ball with the Gamecocks and the quarterback situation. Last night, Shane Beamer confirming that Luke Doty will start. Zeb Nolan will be ready to go in a backup type situation. The first start of the season for Doty after a good performance coming off the bench against Georgia after limited practice time. How much Carolina offense improve? Somebody just asked on the text line, does Nick Muse still play for the Gamecocks? How much more can they get some tight end contributions, especially in the passing game? I think that was Clark who hit us up with that question. David says, defense and special teams is going to be how Carolina beats Kentucky. John from Murrells Inlet this morning weighing in with a 31-27 score prediction for the Gamecocks to get the win. Right now, that is the most popular vote on the poll question at Tim Hill 107.5. Gamecocks winning by 1 to 6 points, more than 50% of the vote. Gamecocks winning by more than a touchdown in second place with a little bit more or a little bit less than a quarter of the vote right now. And then Kentucky winning a close game and winning by more than a touchdown in a battle for third place in our poll question. More than 115 votes in at 7-12. I think that is a sign of the excitement around this ball game. We'll continue to discuss, let you hear more from Shane Beamer, what he had to say last night at Carolina Calls when we come right back. You're listening to the early game, 803-404-6100 if you'd like to join. It's 107.5 The Game.
Big golf event this weekend. Obviously, huge college football games, more NFL to watch. All of it you need to be able to enjoy a fantastic weekend after you get a great night of sleep. Don't wait around. Get a great night of sleep right now with a Sleep Number bed. That's right. You can do so. Making the switch to Sleep Number today with a 360 bed. Jen, we may have to talk about live radio. I can't get the actual script up here. Let me see here. Sorry, live radio at its more than finest here is I get to read a script each and every morning that tells you all about the great folks at Sleep Number, why I have a great Sleep Number bed. And right now, proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed plus special financing, but it ends Monday. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. I put my Sleep Number setting on 45. That will allow me this weekend to get the proper amount of great sleep ready to handle the golf event, to handle a college football weekend, to handle the NFL. Son's also got a soccer game, so I need to do that as well. But right now, proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. You can save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed plus special financing, but it ends Monday. 2 stores to choose from, one in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings, the other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Again, save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed plus special financing, subject to credit approval, minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
Award eligible. I was trying to get on there and help you out. I was just gonna say, well, what's your sleep number, Bill? That's
So I've been having problems with my email coming to my phone. I don't know if it was, so I had to reset everything yesterday, and so what ended up happening was it said that I didn't have Office to be able to read the script.
right.
Use Office to work on this file. I don't want Office. And then actually, it's got dates down here of June 29th, 20 through August 15th, 20. It's just weird.
Called somebody using a format to cut and paste and didn't pay attention.
Well, we got it. It worked, but that was, I don't know what's been up with my. We saved it. We saved it.
That's a pro right there.
Yep, that was a true live endorsement.
What would you like to argue today for Sport Court?
Patrick, I feel like you got a bunch of things that are grinding your gears.
No, it's really not. It's not South Carolina related, so I don't know if that's appropriate for Sport Court.
What do we want to argue, Tim? What do you think?
Like how much the home field will matter tomorrow? How much impact fans can have? Is Kentucky as good as we think they might be? Is there signs for positivity? Are there more signs for positivity or negativity at this point for Gamecock football? Any of those? Nothing?
Yeah, I was sitting here trying to think of something with like sideline demeanor or, emotion, coaches' emotions on the sideline.
You want to go with the Gamecocks will handle the home field advantage well, or they will not?
Either that one, something along those lines, or something along those lines, or the what you were saying about the crowd.
Well, it all goes into one thing, right? So,
yeah.
Will they be able to handle it? You'll be pro and I'll be anti. Does that sound right?
Actually, I think we can go to unless you just want to. I can be the anti guy.
Okay, I'll be happy to go pro. That's kind of where my take was earlier today.
Okay, all right, yep, we'll do that.
So, what if we call it home field advantage? Will it really be an advantage?
Okay,
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
All right.
That does be making sense.
So for the next break, allow like 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I just watched all Will Levis's interceptions.
Oh,
Britt, you coming back down to reality?
No, 2 of them hit his receivers in both hands.
Oh,
hit him in both hands?
Yes.
Great question, RL. I don't know how he didn't get a third hand on it, actually, on one of those. I mean, Will Levis is that good?
Yeah.
No, the phrase
bounced off one receiver's both hands, hit a second receiver in one hand.
Why are you saying the 2 hands part is weird? there's a lot of interceptions where it's a bad throw or thrown behind somebody and they can only get a hand on it and tip it up to the other.
True.
It's not an uncommon football play.
Did you give Luke Doty the responsibility for the interception last week, or no? Kevin Harris?
No, I said Kevin Harris needs to catch the football.
Oh, see that was why I said it, because it hit him in both hands, but it was behind him. Like, wasn't he having to?
But if it hits you in both hands, you should catch the football. It could have been thrown better. Will Levis's interception against Missouri could have been thrown better, but it hit the receiver in both his hands. If you play wide receiver in the SEC and it hits you both hands, you catch the football.
Woo. We are in some kind of place this morning. Carolina, Kentucky, less than 36 hours away. Tomorrow night at Williams-Brice. Less than 800 tickets available at last check. YouTube live stream. How does Patrick look older than all of y'all with a mustache?
I'm mature.
That's what you might as well say. You're humble at the same time.
I am.
You talk about grinding gears. That really always ground my gears back in the day when anybody comes out and says, I'm just staying humble and the whole thing. Yeah. No, if you're humble, you don't have to talk about it.
Stay humble. Mm-hmm.
Not see the irony there.
Otherwise, how else is everybody going to know?
How else is everybody going to know?
Yeah.
By your actions.
Like
it's radio, though.
You're a
it's
nice
radio,
guy.
Though.
Okay.
They can't see me, so they can't see how humble I am. I have to tell them how humble I am.
Sure.
Because humble is more of a visual.
Yeah, it's
you got to be able to see
audio
it.
medium.
And they can't hear it on the radio.
And
we're on live stream now how humble I am.
Yeah, we're on the video stream, man. Come on. YouTube, Facebook Live, up and rolling on Twitter as well at 1075 The Game, the station handle. Carolina, Kentucky. There's a couple of things in play here, I feel like, Bill. First of all, just how much a boost a win would give Gamecock football right now, or be Shane Beamer's first SEC win. It's his first SEC home game. Also, we're not sure where this Kentucky program is. I understand they're much improved from where they were, especially compared to how they played South Carolina recently. They won 6 out of the last 7. But nationally, Kentucky football is not relevant right now. Agreed? They were relevant with Benny Snell one season. They had one really good season. They're not nationally relevant in any kind of meaningful way. But maybe on the precipice of that, I think, is a fair way for Kentucky fans to look at it when you got a quarterback who clearly has shown the ability to win football games with his arm. Now the question is, can he go out and do it? And Patrick, you said you just went back, and the knock on Will Levis is turnovers so far. He just had 3 of them last weekend against Chattanooga, and you've seen a couple interceptions that weren't his fault. So you will remain driving the Will Levis bandwagon this morning. Is that where you are?
Not even the Will Levis bandwagon. Well, first of all, I don't see why people are upset that I'm hyping up Kentucky, because that means if South Carolina beats them, it's just a better win. So I do think Kentucky's a good team. But yeah, Will Levis has thrown 4 picks this year. The first pick he threw was in his very first attempt. It hit his receiver. It was in front of it, in the chest. It wasn't even a bad throw. It was hit him in the hands and bounced up in the air and was intercepted. And all he did after that first pass was go 18 for 27 for 367 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he was
against Louisiana
Monroe. Yes. Right. And then next week against Missouri, he only attempted 18 passes, was 10 for 18, 179 yards, a touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and he threw an interception in that game where he threw it behind the receiver, but it hit both his hands and bounced up into the air again and was intercepted. So yes, could have been a better throw. Wasn't an awesome throw. I give him that. I put some blame on the quarterback, just like we were talking about with Luke Doty and Kevin Harris. It was thrown behind him, but the receiver should catch the ball. Chattanooga, he didn't play great, but yeah, I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's probably one of the, I probably have to rank it out in my head, but he's probably one of the 5. He's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the conference right now. I think would be fair. If you look at all of what. If you look at the stats, I mean, he's the if we go by passing yards, he's the 5th best in the conference, I believe.
Sure.
I have the.
But look at the 3 opponents, man.
Everybody has played a bad team so far.
Right, a bad team. You got Chattanooga and Louisiana Monroe, 2 out of your 3 opponents, and Missouri's your best team.
He's still 6th in passing yards, but he's 2nd in yards per attempt. He's thrown more than 20 less more than 30 less passes than everyone ahead of him except for Matt Corral, and Matt Corral is the front runner for the Heisman right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take Matt Corral out of the discussion.
But that's
he's
where
a
I want to
good
press
player.
pause.
And-
That's where I want to press pause right there, Patrick. So, Bill, what do you think the strategy will be? Because it's wildly interesting to me that against Chattanooga, Kentucky was more pass heavy, and then Missouri, clearly the game plan was to run the football and pound it. Patrick is just getting
I
frustrated.
didn't even get to the point that was going to tie into where Bill ground my gears earlier.
Go ahead.
Because the running game was working against Missouri.
Right.
I mean, Chris Rodriguez couldn't miss. Like, it was 11 yards every single play, at least. That was I think his average was 11 yards. And against Chattanooga, it wasn't that way, so they threw the football. So that was going to tie into Bill saying that Kentucky got away from their bread and butter in the Chattanooga game. And after what we've seen from the transformation of LSU into a passing team where they won a national championship because they brought in an NFL coach and opened up the offense. Nick Saban brings in NFL coaches to run his offense all the time because they just lose all of their assistant coaches, and now they're a high-flying offense. I just kind of reject the idea that any team in college football these days, except for maybe like Wisconsin because they just recruit behemoth offensive linemen and never have quarterbacks, but just the idea that any college team has a bread and butter and they're a run the football team and this and that when they brought in an NFL coach who runs a pass heavy offense and brought in a quarterback that can operate that offense versus a team that had Terry Wilson who can't throw the football for the last 3 years. So
Wait a second. You mentioned LSU and Alabama. You telling me Kentucky has talent anywhere close to those offenses?
What doesn't have anything to do with talent? It has to do with their scheme. And what?
Completely disagree.
They brought in an NFL coach that runs pass-heavy schemes, and they have a quarterback that's operating that offense at a very high level right now. That doesn't mean they don't have a good running game, and when it worked, they rolled with it, just like every team rolls with the running game when they can.
They scored 28 points against Chattanooga. What do you mean very high level?
I think the question is, can you change
all his numbers?
Can a program like that, do you want to change your identity and what's been successful? There's a difference between adding a passing attack, but sticking with what has been successful in the past. Let me ask you this, and I'd ask South Carolina fans this. Tomorrow night, you got Kentucky throwing it 35 times, or you got them running it 35 times. What scares you more? What concerns you? What concerns you more is Kentucky coming out and beating you through the air or beating you on the ground? Now we know, and 803-404-6100, I'd be interested to hear the text in on that, because what concerns you more about Kentucky's offense tomorrow night? Is it Chris Rodriguez and Cavassier Smoke and Kentucky lining up and running it down your throat, or is it with South Carolina's secondary?
All right, let's all vote. All four of us. Wait a second. I'm going to count to three. We're all going to say air or ground on the count of three. All four of us. 1, 2, 3. Ground.
But this is the idea, because
Did Patrick answer?
That's the whole point.
I said air.
I said air, but it's a cop-out because that's the whole point, is that they can beat you through the air now, so you have to think about it. In the past, Kentucky was never going to beat you through the air because Terry Wilson couldn't throw the football. Now they have someone that can actually do it, and that makes them more dangerous. And you said, do you want to change your identity when you've been very successful? Kentucky hasn't been that successful. They've been more successful than in the past, but LSU changed their identity, and they won a national championship for it. Of course you want to change your identity. You want to evolve.
I don't know if they can beat you through the air tomorrow. I feel like if Kentucky's throwing it a lot, if they're trying to beat you through the air tomorrow night, I feel like that's playing into South Carolina's hands. Yeah, this is a team. South Carolina last year had 8 interceptions on the season. They're at 6 so far. One thing about this team,
two corners drafted last year.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of the point, I think.
Yeah.
And they've got 6.
They're being more productive this year.
This secondary seems like a little bit more of a ball hawking secondary, being able to get out and make some plays. I've seen Darius Rush be up on some receivers. He's called a tip pass that's resulted in a Jalen Foster interception. Rush was able to make another one. Foster's got 2 other interceptions so far. This team has shown the.
This got torched on deep balls last week.
All right, let's take this to court. Sport court coming up. I feel a hostile witness coming on for sure.
Yeah, really.
Grinding his gears this
Friday.
morning.
Shouldn't you be happier on a Friday?
2021. We throw the football these days.
What's this wee stuff all of a sudden?
Analytics.
He's just gonna keep. He's gonna keep swinging. So maybe lawyer Lisa will be able to get him under control on the witness stand. We'll see. That's coming up next. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Live, local, and free. That's how we do sports. 107.5 The Game.
Ryder Cup coming up this morning. Certainly something to get excited about. Maybe you've been playing your own Ryder Cup with your buddies lately, and that has resulted in a little bit of back pain. Look, we're all getting older. Trust me, I am the leading expert in getting older and feeling pain right now. And if I have a little back pain, if I have some headaches, some leg and arm numbness, I go straight to Dr. Pate and Roman Cooper with Casey Chiropractic. That's right, 21 years individually of experience. So whether it's Dr. Pate, whether it's Dr. Roman, I know that I'm in good hands. I know they're going to get me back up and get me going again because they're in the business of getting people out of pain. Give them a call today for yourself. You feel a little bit of back pain, again, some leg and arm numbness, they treat all ages. 803-796-2424. They file all major insurance plans. It's a pay-as-you-go type deal. Research proves spinal decompression has excellent long-term effectiveness over even after 4 years. So if you're feeling a little bit of pain, right now is the time. These boys are open this morning. You can give them a phone call, 803-796-2424. Dr. Pate, Dr. Roman Cooper. They are also part of the Disc Center of America, so you can have faith that they are going to get you back up and running in no time at all, because you know what? They're there for helping people get in the business of getting out of pain. They want to make sure you are good to go. So you've been feeling a little down lately, been having some lower back pain, mid back pain, neck pain, headaches. Don't let it affect your life anymore. Call Dr. Pate, Dr. Roman Cooper today. Get an appointment scheduled. Get out there. Let them do their magic. 803-796-2424. That's Casey Chiropractic Center.
Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
How you doing over there?
I'm here.
You're joining a fired up crew this morning.
Yeah, here.
So would you like some more extra credit terms? Are we going to stick with the same ones as last week?
We've got protect, will, and power.
Ooh, protect, will, and power. So Jen, on the hotkeys, the same place where you have the intro and the outro there for, I think you got a ding. I think you got a ding sound effect on there. So anytime you hear protect, will, and power, give us a ding. Those are extra credit words in our sport court segment.
All right.
And I'll announce it in the beginning again.
Beautiful.
So text, will, and power.
No,
protect.
Protect. Sorry.
Who's going to ask the skydiving question?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Patrick. That was all yours.
Did that go out on the air, or was it all live stream conversation?
I don't remember.
I think it was all live stream. Lisa, if Bill and I were going skydiving and I was about to jump out of the plane, but I got scared and decided I didn't want to, and Bill pushed me out of the plane, would I have a case against him?
I love that she's taking this seriously.
I mean, you're in the plane with your parachute ready to jump, right?
Correct.
But I was going to wuss out at the last second, and Bill just shoved me out.
Nah, I think you're okay.
Wait,
I think Bill's okay. I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Well, she knows. She's met us before. She's like, it's not completely impossible that scenario happens. Like, don't want to give bad advice here. Like,
I know.
So this morning, I'll introduce it here in just a second. We're doing home field advantage. Bill will be defending the position that it's not that important or won't have that big of an impact. Correct, Bill?
that it's not that big or important?
Right.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to do, can South Carolina handle it? You were going to say they could handle it.
We'll do that.
I'm going to say that I think that they're going to struggle handling it.
Got it. Yeah, take that. We're going to do some meatloaf back there.
I think if Will Levis throws for more than 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and Kentucky wins the game, Bill has to eat a banana with the peel on it on Monday.
Nice. Yeah, your house sounds like mine this morning, Lisa.
I know.
No wonder you're here. I get it now. I get it. Feel free to bring all the craziness on the air, and then we can really get it going in Sport Court.
My question is Patrick's alter ego in your other room right now?
Totally.
I know. I'm like, where's Josh?
Tell Josh to get it under control. He's listening to the radio. He's waiting for us.
I know. We did tell him on the radio. Can you get Jensen?
Oh, I love it.
Wait, is that Bill?
Yeah, exactly. Jen, do you have Lisa on the phone? Are we good to go?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. You're already getting the compliments out there. Matt says you're the prettiest attorney in Columbia.
Oh, thanks, Matt.
All right, here we go. Can you turn your speakers off there, Lisa, so we don't get any feedback? Awesome.
You're up.
Let's set up Sport Court with a comment from Shane Beamer last night about the home field advantage, how important it's going to be. Jen, this is number 5 right in front of you. The Gamecocks obviously happy to be back home, ready to go tomorrow night against Kentucky.
You prepare for crowd noise, don't get me wrong, and we're no different. I mean, we do crowd noise in practice, but when you get in that environment and you're trying to communicate in the huddle or communicate with signals and things like that, it's a challenge, and that's why the SEC is such a dominating league in so many ways. It's the size of the crowds you play in each and every week, and we need our fan base Saturday night. I know they will bring it, and I cannot wait to be back in Williams-Brice Stadium. It seems like forever ago we played Eastern Illinois and been on the road the last 2 weeks, but we are happy to be back home and happy to be back with our fans.
Shane Beamer last night, Carolina Calls, Learfield Sports right here on 107.5 The Game. That leads us to, I'm guessing Shane Beamer never thought he would do this, leads us to our latest edition of Sport Court. Sponsored by Lawyer Lisa, presiding at Sport Court today, talking a bit of home field advantage and how this Gamecock football team is going to handle it. We'll get into the arguments in just a second. First, Lisa, please tell us what Lawyer Lisa does.
Sure. Well, at Lawyer Lisa, we help people with their plans. We do estate planning, trust. We help people avoid probate and avoid conflict. And then obviously on the back end, we can help with probate if people didn't plan ahead. We do advanced directives like powers of attorney and healthcare. And we do wills and trusts. So today's terms are going to be protect, will, and power for power of attorney. So if you can use protect, will, and power in your arguments today, you will get extra credit with the judge.
Excellent. This is week 2. We've added this additional feature into the Sport Court segment with Lawyer Lisa. Jen, just to make sure you're on the same page with us here, because it was Patrick pushing the buttons last week, those words will also be accompanied by a tremendous sound effect for extra credit. So we have protect. There we go. Will.
No.
Ding. There we go. And power is what I'm hearing as our extra credit words. All right, now we're off and rolling. Today's topic. No, your hostile witness. I like how Patrick's mic is turned down.
Will does not count for Will Levis.
Okay, fair enough. It has to be a non-name. We can't talk about Power Booth or anything else. Okay, that's fair enough. Lawyer Lisa presiding. Bill and I will be the presiding lawyers presenting cases, and Patrick will be a hostile witness, probably some sort of bailiff. I don't know. He'll probably make objections to. Who knows how this thing is going to go. Bill, the topic today, how Gamecock football will handle this big-time environment at Williams-Brice Stadium tomorrow night. Please make your opening statement.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about how they handle the emotions in the crowd tomorrow night. I mean, look, we know the number one goal when you're at Williams-Brice Stadium is to protect your house, right? You know that the will or the crowd, I like how I instantly get that with messing up the sentence. The crowd has been known to will a team on to victory, and that the power and energy of a home field crowd can start a program off in the right direction. But my concern, and some of it is scar tissue, is I've seen this work against South Carolina in the past, where they come out over emotional. They make mistakes early on. Against Georgia several years ago, there was I think a pick six. The guy ended up fumbling at the goal line, and they picked it up. Georgia picked it up and walked in, but it was a pick six. We've seen plays in the past where South Carolina, the home team, came out too emotional, not ready to handle the environment. And while I think tomorrow night is going to be absolutely electric, that the crowd will have a strong influence on the game, it is my concern that as South Carolina tries to build this program, the emotions affect South Carolina and force a mistake early on, as opposed to it working the other way, where Kentucky is the one making the mistake. So my concern is the power of the crowd brings down a big mistake early on, because South Carolina mentally is not ready to handle this kind of environment.
Ladies and gentlemen
of
the jury, you rest your case. You're not even calling a witness. I thought that was an opening statement. Who rests their case on an opening statement? Unbelievable.
I have a lot to learn about this attorney stuff, man. I really, Lisa she should be sending us a video like every day of just like how it works.
I mean, all you got to do is read a John Grisham book. Come on.
I thought that was I was very proud of myself, because I thought that was a very concise, to the point. Like, I didn't ramble on like I've done in the past, and now apparently I've made a mistake already. So anyway, all right.
It was a good opening. It was a good opening. We'll just take out that resting your case part.
Okay.
All right, Tim, what's your opening statement?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I apologize that you had to hear that. Clearly, Bill missed the sign at the beginning of Sport Court here right out the door. It said, check your baggage at the door. This is all about emotional baggage. This has nothing to do with Shane Beamer and the 2021 version of Gamecock football. That was all about Will Muschamp. It's gone. He's gone. This is a different era. Shane Beamer is a different coach. His players will respond much differently than they have in the last 5 years or so ago. Does anybody remember the Steve Spurrier era? Home field advantage, pretty good. I think it was 21 wins in a row. This is unbelievable that we're even hearing this case here today, Your Honor. I'm ready to call my first witness.
Go ahead.
Patrick Perrette, please take the stand. Do you solemnly swear to do some stuff? Thank you for raising your hand. All right, here we go. We're going to do some stuff.
I'm touching the Bible on the other hand.
Patrick, is a home field advantage an advantage by definition for college football teams?
By definition, yes.
Thank you for answering the question. Sir, what does an advantage mean? Is that good for you or is that bad for you?
By definition, it is good for you.
I rest. You're a witness. You're a witness over there.
Thank you for that. Mr. Perrette, you did a fantastic job. Always appreciate you being here with your knowledge and what you bring to this fantastic courtroom. You pointed out by definition, yes, what the other attorney over there was asking you. However, I ask you, this football team in the current emotional state, do you believe as a witness that they are prepared for this kind of home environment that's going to be electric, that's going to feature 67 or 68,000 garnet and white screaming fans on Saturday night, ready for Shane Beamer's first SEC home opener? Do you think that this program in its current state, unlike what my colleague just pointed out was 10, 12 years ago during the Steve Spurrier era, do you believe, Mr. Perrette, do you believe that this program is ready for this kind of environment to allow it to not force them into a mistake early on?
I believe that there's a lot of inexperience on this team. As presently constructed, I believe there's going to be some growing pains. And in fact, if the environment is as electric as you just led us to believe, that could result in some problems for them.
Your Honor, I believe now I'm allowed to rest my case.
Tim, would you like to cross-examine or redirect?
Oh, just one question on redirect, Your Honor. Is could a definition, or is that just simply a possibility, Mr. Perret?
I would like to invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
Fair enough. Taking the fifth. I think I would like to give a quick summation and a closing statement. Is that all right, Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. The past should not be held against any of us, especially for people who haven't been around to suffer through this. Shane Beamer didn't have to suffer through the last year of five seasons with Will Muschamp. The last 5 seasons, Gamecock fans did. Just because my co-counselor on the other side there had to suffer through that doesn't mean that has any bearing on tonight or tomorrow night's happenings at Williams-Brice Stadium. And when is the last time that you heard the story in college football? Oh, the home field advantage really worked against the home team. I don't see it happening. I think Shane Beamer is smart enough. I think he has proved in his short time as a head coach that he is savvy enough. I think actually some of the penalties and things that have gone against the Gamecocks emotionally early on in the season works in their favor here. He has used that as a teaching tool all week long. He is a cool customer under pressure. He will have his team ready and using the home field advantage to his advantage. I rest my case, Your Honor.
So what you're saying is this is a prima facie case.
Whoa. Who said the witness can talk here?
That's what you're saying. You're saying it's a prima facie case.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't really either. I'm just reading the glossary of legal terms right now.
Good job.
Yeah, no,
right. I was wondering if I was concerned that when you took one class in college and just that stuck with you.
I did take media law.
I think Lawyer Lisa is ready to make her decision, unless we need to hear a final statement from Bill, which I guess we don't have time for.
Bill, you got anything?
I feel I have presented my case thoroughly. The witness, once again, was fantastic. I am ready to hear the ruling.
Okay. Well, first, I would like to say that, Bill, you did a very good job using the terms today. And as someone who is in the business of helping people protect their families by the use of wills and powers of attorney and healthcare directives, I can see that the Gamecocks need to do the same thing tomorrow night. When they're at Williams-Brice, the stadium is there to help protect the house. You are the 12th man here at Williams-Brice, and that power and that energy is going to help the Gamecocks, not hurt them. And that energy, the crowd, they're going to be there for the team to help them and lead them on to victory. So my order is that the crowd and the crowd noise are only going to help the Gamecocks in the game against Kentucky, and we are going to win.
Excellent ruling, Your Honor. That'll do it for this edition of Lawyer Lisa. Once again, Bill comes up short.
I feel like she just decided that's going to she just made a decision. She didn't really rule over
You are being held in
arguments.
contempt right now.
Well done. Lawyer Lisa and Sport Report every Friday.
It's the best one I've ever had, and I end up in contempt at the very end.
I actually thought you were going to win that one. LawyerLisa.com is the place to go for all the information on Lawyer Lisa. We'll be right back after
Coach Frank Martin, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
What a mess that was, huh? That's just kind of what we do on Sport Court for sure. And I'm used to the messes around my house these days. I think Lawyer Lisa might be used to some as well. I recommend, you know what I need to do? I need to get Zero Res out to her house for sure, like they've been out to my house a couple of times. Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning done a great job cleaning my carpets, freshening up the tiles in the kitchen and the bathroom. Really gave us that nice, fresh house, that new, fresh home feel each time they've been out to my house. And I need all the help I can get, man. Popsicles and ice cream is where my 18-month-old is. If he even hears the freezer door opening, he goes nuts. And his move with the great popsicle is just to squeeze it with both hands like it's a washcloth, and then to start just flailing about, and the stuff goes everywhere. So obviously we need all the help we can get. Fortunately, Zero Res does that. They got a great deal for you right now. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119, plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. Give them a call at 803-262-4020. Check them out online, ZeroResColumbia.com, where you can book your appointment right now. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
From the Shepherd.
Bye, Lisa. Nice work. Good luck with the getting the house under control.
I know. It only gets crazier from here.
Meadowfield Road
Amen to that.
and Sunny Drive.
We'll see you next
bye,
week.
guys.
Same time.
Boulevard at Coral Vine Lane. Or
Yeah.
a tie up there, as well as.
Patrick, what was the you say prima facie?
Yes.
Give us the legal term since you were there.
I was.
Give us the definition.
A prima facie, Latin for at first look or on its face. It refers to what can be presumed after the first disclosure.
Yep, that's one of those definitions that only made me more confused.
Yep. Oh, here's another one. A prima facie case is a case where upon first looks, the facts themselves prove the case. I've watched enough courtroom movies to know, though, that on the surface is not enough. Sometimes someone looks guilty right away when you start digging.
Nice work, Lisa. Probably about a week.
I think once the judge leaves the courtroom, I'm officially out of contempt.
That's a good point
no.
too.
No, I hold contempt for you long stretches of
Yeah,
time.
you are known to hold a grudge. 15 minutes until opening tee shot.
Very nice. York looks like he's having a solid morning as well. Coffee, pastry, no work. Headed up to tailgate or loading up the tailgate van after the show. Good for you.
Nice.
Yeah, Robert, I think that might be in perpetuity then. Bill's going to be held in contempt until he wins the case.
I feel like there's some forces against me in this deal.
Isn't there always?
Well, we know there are in NASCAR, but I'm able to overcome that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's because the drivers do the deciding.
Really?
You guys caught up on Ted Lasso up until this last episode?
I'm 3 episodes behind.
Is that Beard?
10. Yeah, Beard was the last one. The new one, I think, came out at midnight because they come on Fridays. It was emotional.
Oh, yeah? So there's one after the Beard one?
Yeah, and there's 2 more after it.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
12 episodes this season. Episode 10 is super emotional.
In a good way or not a good way? Or just in a... Yeah, not
a good way.
I gotta admit, I haven't been as excited to watch it because it felt like it was going to go down a path of very emotional. The last one I saw was when Nate called the play. Nate took over the coach and they won.
Right.
And Ted, the show ends with him in the doctor's office. And I had a feeling it was going down a very emotional path, and I wasn't sure I was ready to start watching something like that.
The sports psychologist office.
Yeah.
Right. See, the one after that, I think, is the one that made me change my opinion of Nate. And then now it's going to get deep on us, huh, Patrick? I like
deep, yeah, heavy. It was heavy.
Heavy. Yeah, I should have said heavy.
Patrick, did you see this new Netflix series? I kind of read a little bit about it yesterday. Squid Games. It's like a Korean type. I don't know. I saw some people talking about it on Twitter yesterday, and apparently it's kind of wild. It's I don't know. I guess it compared like to what was that American movie that they just had? Oh, Escape Room. Did you see any of the Escape Rooms?
We're coming back in.
No, but I'm seeing an article that says Netflix #1 show will make you feel gross, but you should watch it anyway.
Yeah, as people were talking about it yesterday, I kind of just read.
guys are up.
Poll question up and rolling. Ryder Cup about to tee off there. What a great time to be a sports fan. What'll happen at Williams-Brice tomorrow between Carolina and Kentucky is the poll question at 107 at Tim Hill 1075, where you can go on Twitter to make your prediction. Plenty more predictions coming up in hour number 3. Plenty more Carolina Kentucky discussions. We're going to make our picks. Going to talk a little high school football as well. Saw Brooklyn Casey, big win over Airport last night, 35-0. Chris Deering will give us his comments on that, and then some games to watch for tonight. Should be a fun third hour, huh, gentlemen? I think Patrick's in a better mood going into hour number 3. What do you think?
I think his use of what courtroom did we just have?
We're still trying to figure out what happened in sport court.
Prima
facie?
Prima facie. Okay. He's gotten. I got him on this other Netflix show. Now, are you looking at that? Are you studying that? Or did you move off of that?
No, I'm actually trying to decide if it's un-American of me to bet on the Euros to win the Ryder Cup because they are 2-1.
I was kind of leaning Euros myself, to be honest. I'm not real thrilled about it.
You could do that, right, and kind of hedge your bet. You pull for USA, but you got your money on the other side. Robbie claims lawyer Lisa had favoritism.
I agree.
How dare you, Robbie? I think you need to submit a formal claim to Sport Court Appeals Court. That'll be in the 4th hour today.
Somebody got to the jury.
Were you saying Euros, Mel, or Euros?
What?
Were you saying Euros or Euros? What were you going to bet?
Euros. Yeah, Patrick, I'm kind of with you. Like, the Americans have zero business losing, but I'm kind of with you on that.
Well, don't the Euros always win?
Yeah, basically.
And every year it's that same story. Like, how did Team USA lose?
Yeah, it really is about the same story every year.
To me, this is, if you're a Gamecock fan and you are completely all in on Shane Beamer being the guy to bring this program back, I think the Ryder Cup is a great example to use in your favor, where on paper it doesn't make sense, but clearly there is some kind of spiritual element amongst Team Europe every single time that helps them beat more talented and more proven golfers.
Yeah, because we have like 9 of the top 11 golfers in the world on our team.
Right. But they're all individuals and their own corporation and robots, and you just don't see the same spirit.
Well, it was pretty cool. Did you see what I don't know if they do it all the time, but what Europe did, at least with the golf bags this time, where they put the number on them. So, like, did you see that? So, like, I forget who it is number 167. He's the most recent guy to be put on the European.
We do have a few accidents to let you know about this morning. Dutch Fork Road.
Like, they point out, so they put it on the bag, and the point is, like, there's more people that have been to the moon that have played on the European Ryder Cup team. That's how prestigious it is.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And so, like, in their lobby or wherever their team hotel is, there's actually a fake astronaut, like a whatever, so that when they walk by, they remember just how prestigious it is for you to be. So on their bags, if you see a number, that is their number for, like, being selected to the Ryder Cup.
Swig's theory is that the U.S. team struggles because of British Open style courses. Not buying it.
So
I think that's a good thing, Craig, that you got six new guys to the Ryder Cup for Team USA.
Who isn't playing in the Ryder Cup that was, besides Patrick Reed, that is like a snub?
I think that was pretty much it. Obviously Tiger Woods, but besides those two big names, there's no reason to throw your camera around, in my opinion. But that's
trying to get fun. Every time I take my laptop off my lap, it falls now.
It is a laptop.
Kisner.
Yeah, but I don't think he's up there in the rankings. And I get it from the South Carolina perspective, but to me, he's a perfect guy to have on that team, just with his attitude. his personality.
But also, Twig,
Likeable
the
dude.
the course in Paris wasn't a British Open style course, was it? I could be wrong. Years ago.
It's not Twig's point. Twig's point is playing British Open style courses in the U.S.
Oh. Well, we don't typically do that either. Like, this is kind of a random. I mean, I know what he's talking about, but
I don't.
What channel is this on?
a golf channel.
Which is what?
I don't know. YouTube television.
No, but like, what owns the golf channel? Fox?
NBC.
NBC. Peacock.
Don't have Peacock. Do have NBC Sports app.
That should do it.
Ryder Cup, day one. Beautiful. I already know. When does this end? Sunday night? Sunday afternoon?
Sunday afternoon, yeah. We've got it on 1 to 6 or whenever it ends on Sunday afternoon on 107.5 The Game. Plug.
So I'm going to be watching this at a bar, having absolutely no idea what's happening and just hoping that the Euros win, I guess.
What? That's just rude.
Well, I just put money on them.
So you can still pull for the U.S. and then you win that way.
You went Euros? You took the Euros?
Yeah. There's absolutely no value in betting on the Americans.
Well, I mean,
it's minus 210.
I mean, I guess, yeah, it depends on how much you're betting on them. Like,
why?
Why? Because if you still bet $210, you're still winning $100.
I'm certainly not betting $210.
Well, I mean, but you say there's no value. Like, that's part of betting on the favorite.
Yeah, but if you bet $210 on the Euros, you'd win like $400.
Well, that's true as well.
That is un-American, I agree, Stephen. How dare you?
Well, all I hear is that we don't care about the Ryder Cup, and they do.
No, it's just the U.S. golfers clearly don't care as much as the European golf.
So why should I?
Great attitude.
Patrick just
Yes,
asked for the money.
Troy. Good point, Troy.
Patrick
Benedict.
All right. Tim, you got your sheet?
Agreed, Hope. What kind of sheet you talking about?
Tim, you got your sheet?
My sheep? Is that what you're asking?
Your sheet to write down the picks?
No, I do not. That kind of went out the window for the season when Bill didn't pick last week, so we'll just go straight up this week.
Wait, what?
What kind of sheet are you talking about, Patrick? Can you not hear me?
I don't know. I mean, I will read off some numbers for you if you want to.
Oh, you're saying
write them down and think about them.
You secretary. That's what I'm hearing. Nope, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to discuss Sergio Garcia. Is that Sergio Garcia?
Yeah, Garcia and Rom are going off first.
I can write down a number if you want
to. Good. Well, I'm thinking we do Notre Dame, Wisconsin minus 6.5. Texas A&M, Arkansas will be a good one.
Yeah.
Or in the intro.
A&M is favored by 4.5.
Got it.
Clemson, NC State should be a good one. Clemson's a 10-point favorite.
Hey, Chris, it's Jen.
Right.
South Carolina, and then we can decide what the fifth one should be. But I mean, we can do Tennessee, Florida. I guess we can do Tennessee, Florida, or Georgia, Vanderbilt.
I'm down with that. So how much is Florida favored by? 14.5, I would assume?
19.
19. We'll make it 19.5. Got it. And what are we going with for Carolina? 5.5?
I will get it.
Yeah, I think Chris is ready.
Great timing, perfect strangers. Thank you for being there for us through it all, and here you are. as we're now less than 35 hours away from kickoff, Carolina and Kentucky. Actually, it'll probably kick off like 7:10, right? Another ESPN2 game, I think it is. Perfect strangers here for us. It's been an interesting, I think, an emotional show. Wouldn't you say, Bill? Patrick's in an interesting spot today. I mean, his gears are being ground all over the place, and now you're claiming some sort of unfair favoritism from Sport Court and the decision not going your way. We're in a strange spot going into hour number 3.
Well, I wasn't doing it, but other people started to point out just that there could have been. I mean, I recently watched Cocaine Cowboys, and so I understand jury tampering and all the things
that didn't have a jury. That's interesting.
I can understand how people can get to the decision makers in the process, and so I do need to be more alert now as to potentially any kind of fraud that may have happened.
Kentucky Joe, a great way to start hour number 3 on the text line, 803-404-6100. The home field advantage / atmosphere is always a big factor. Kentucky Joe says Carolina's got a great front 7 on defense. Levis isn't the best. The game comes down to him making plays, not turning it over. If Kentucky runs 35 times, I'd say Carolina would be in trouble. Chris Rodriguez, Smoke, McLean have the ability to run wild. I think it'll be close, but I give UK the win, 31-28. Kentucky Joe is on the same page as you and me, Bill. We said it. We did a dramatic 1, 2, 3 countdown, which would be a bigger problem for Carolina. More plays in the air for Kentucky on offense or more plays on the ground? And I both said ground. Would you like to give your reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I think we've just seen it. I think, you were joking earlier, but I think you're right. The mental scars of watching South Carolina lose some games over the last 5 or 6 years, and one of those is Kentucky just grinding out the football game with little to no passing attack whatsoever. And,
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, I think, but I do feel like Kentucky with those 2 running backs scare me more than Will Levis does throwing the football around. Wandale Robinson is a really, really good wide receiver and can make something happen. But the rest of Kentucky's wide receivers, South Carolina should be able to match up with them and keep them somewhat in check. Wandale Robinson, Cam Smith expected back tomorrow night. I'm guessing he'll get the assignment of him. But yeah, the biggest concern, not just for this game, guys, but overall, and Kentucky's offensive line is good. So, but if Kentucky's able to line up and just blow South Carolina off the ball for 4 quarters, it's hard to look down the rest of that schedule and see 4 victories or 4 total. South Carolina, this is a game with that defensive line. They need to be competitive.
Wait a second. But your math's not working out there. 4 total would be a win against Troy and a win against Vandy. You're saying
okay, 5. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was. Well, even then, Troy. I'm not a huge Troy fan, but I'm starting to think that was going to be a little bit more difficult than most think. But we'll deal with that. But yeah, if Kentucky lines up and just pushes South Carolina's defensive line around, I become a lot more concerned about the rest of the season.
See, not me, because they've already done it against Missouri. They didn't do it last week against Chattanooga, which was weird. I think they might have been trying to diversify their offense and felt like they could play around a little bit and not have to scheme things up quite like they did in their SEC opener against Missouri. Patrick, what's your point on the other side? Why does the passing game, why do you feel like that would be a bigger problem for the Gamecocks from Kentucky standpoint?
Well, I'd like to go on record of that I don't like this question, because the whole idea is that we're even asking this question shows you how much Kentucky has advanced in the air game. Because last year we probably didn't even talk about this game because we didn't care. We were talking about the head coaching search. 2 years ago, it was all about the running game. It was, can South Carolina stop the run? They always have trouble with running quarterbacks. Well, now they've got a running quarterback that can throw the ball, and that is why Kentucky is dangerous. The fact that we're even having a conversation of is Kentucky as an aerial threat as big of a problem for South Carolina as their running game, that just proves that this offense is more dangerous than any Kentucky offense they've seen since the winning streak began. So that's why I say the air.
You think we're still doing Sport Court? Are you still trying to prove your case? I think you might just do Sport Court just for 3 hours on the show every day.
He does it for 3 hours. Okay. He does it for the 3 hours after the show. He just yells at stuff around the house.
I don't like when we all agree.
That's fair. I can see that. 803-404-6100. Fortunately, we have a much more agreeable guest on the Love Chevy phone lines right now in Chris Deering, covering high school football for decades.
Now for Prep Red Zone. Chris, thanks for joining us. And what are you seeing on the schedule tonight? I know Brooklyn Casey had a dominant win over Airport last night, 35-0. Some good games in the area.
Oh yeah, we got a slew of good games tonight, Tim. And I know when everybody woke up this morning, it feels a little bit like football weather. So I think you start tonight with AC Flora and Chapin. Both teams are undefeated. Chapin is ranked in Class 5A. I think they came in at number 6 this week. AC Flora is the defending 4A champ. They're top ranked in 4A. There's going to be a lot of talent on that field. There's going to be a lot of players that are ready to play on the next level in that football game. AC Flora's defense has only given up 7 points in 3 games. Last week they went over to Camden. I thought that game would be a little bit of a shootout. It turns out it was 3-0. So AC Flora's got to get their offense in gear a little bit. I know they switched quarterbacks back and forth last week. So I know our friend Terry Orth will get that situation under control and get the right guy out there tonight. And then Chapin, they got the 3-headed monster that I don't think gets enough credit on offense. Jaden Bradford, he used to be at South Carolina on a visit Saturday night. He's a sophomore. He visited Penn State last week for that big game against Auburn. The kid is legit. He's one of the best quarterbacks I've seen in the Midlands in quite some time, and he's only going to get better. He's a great kid too. I talked to his parents last week actually after the game. I expect big things out of Jaden Bradford over the next 2.5 years, and he'll be recruited by everybody in the country. And then they have the running back, Benny Galloway, who's going to North Carolina State. Xavier Short, the wide receiver, he's going to Appalachian State. So there's a lot of talent on that field tonight between that one. But there's other games also. I think you look down the schedule, and Dorman and Ridgeview. Dorman's coming to Columbia as they play Ridgeview. Both of those teams have been off for a couple of weeks with COVID. So see how they can get back in the groove and get things going back together. And here's one that's really interesting to me. Great Collegiate, a 2A school. They're ranked number 2 in 2A. They didn't have a game this week, so they picked up Gaffney. Not many teams really want to go to Gaffney and play often. But Gray has proven they'll play anybody anywhere. They've already beaten Ridgeview this year. They've already beaten Camden this year. Great Collegiate is building a schedule, and they know what lies ahead for them. But if they go win a 2A state championship, they have to beat Abbeville. Everybody in the state knows that, and they've built a schedule early in the season to where they will be prepared, I think, by the time playoffs rolls around to see another great Abbeville team.
He's Chris Deering at C Deering 82, coming in strong today. Chris, well done. Appreciate all the high school knowledge as always. We'll get you out with the Carolina-Kentucky prediction. Did you vote in the poll question this morning, sir?
I'm on the road, Tim, so I'm getting ready to be in downtown Charleston, so I've not had a chance to vote in the poll. But I'll tell you, this is what I think. South Carolina season starts tomorrow night. I think most people thought they would be 2-1 at this point. The next 4 weeks are going to be key for this football team. And I do think home field advantage is going to play a factor. I heard your argument with Bill on Loyola. I think the South Carolina team wins tomorrow night. And if they can come out of this next stretch of 4 games at 3-1, I think they could even go 4-0. I think you could see a successful season under Shane Beamer, but I think it's got to start tomorrow night, and I think they win. I say 7 to 10 points they win tomorrow night.
Okay, Chris going with the second place vote right now in the poll that the Gamecocks win by 7 or more at C Deering 82, where you can follow him on Twitter. You can also follow his work on Prep Red Zone, and plenty of high school football tonight on the High School Football Night in the Midlands, brought to you by Love Chevy, coming up between 9 and midnight with Justin Hall and Tommy Moody. Chris, appreciate the time. As always, time for us to take a quick break here. A little bit more from Shane Beamer. Last night, Carolina calls when we come back and back into that Carolina-Kentucky discussion. We got college football picks to make as well. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
College football playoffs are here.
Sometime, crew is up against it. The breaks are beating the boys. Tell them to get out there and give it all they've got. And win just one for the zipper.
College football playoffs are here on 107.5 The Game.
A foundational game, I think, is what's on tap tomorrow night, what we're talking about today. It can be one where it really helps solidify the foundation for one program and maybe put some cracks in the other one. I recommend you go to cantycanfixit.com right now if what I just told you reminded you of your house situation. If you have any kind of issues that you've noticed, it needs to be looked at and taken care of quickly. I'm talking about cracks in your exterior brick and your walls, above the windows or door frames, doors that stick, uneven, bouncy floors, cracks over the garage door, any of that stuff. Go to cantycanfixit.com right now and get the Canty Foundation Specialist out to your house, because the last thing you want to do is have that in the back of your mind and just have it sitting there as a worry, a concern, and maybe making it bigger in your head than it actually is. Also, if you've got a crawl space right now, you notice any kind of humidity, that condensation, that is bad news for sure. And you definitely want to get Canty out to your house to take care of that before any more problems occur from that. So Canty Foundation Specialists, if you're having any sort of issues, you notice anything like what I mentioned before, make sure you go to cantycanfixit.com.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass,
You watching it, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm probably behind you. Giorgio just had a nice little layup. So I haven't seen Spieth putt yet.
Agreed there with Ferrari. Andy and Troy, the only Muslims left. 6 wins somehow will be overachievement and success for year one. Agreed.
Is Justin Thomas known to be a good punter?
A good putter? Yes, absolutely.
Like one of the Spieth is the best putter, right?
Times.
Has been, yeah. I don't know if he still resides on top there, but I don't know who would knock him off necessarily. Bill, who would you take instead of Spieth right now? Best putter in the world.
Cantley? I mean, geez, after that performance a couple weeks ago.
That's fair.
Oh, Justin.
I think Travis's point here is that there's not just a one massive dude right in the middle. Like,
well,
he has a 380-pound dude.
But to that same point, I would say that the passing game would be less of a concern because our pass rushers are actually very good and they can disrupt things. Whereas in the run game, they just don't have the girth to really be effective and hold guys and slow them down like that. Because I just retweeted yesterday, and Kingsley Enagbare is the highest rated pass rusher in the country right now, according to Pro Football Focus.
Now, I'd have to go back and look. Who's the left tackle? It's the left tackle for Kentucky that's not giving up any pressure this year.
No, Darian Kennard is their right tackle. He's their best offensive lineman. Their left tackle is Dare Rosenthal, who transferred from LSU.
Oh, Patrick's all over it.
Dang. So the Americans are not going to take the lead after hole one, even though they definitely should have.
You should feel good then. Money's just accumulating in the bank right now.
All right, we're heading back
But
in.
It is
all
hard
right, Jim.
to
Let's do a Beamer soundbite, please. Let's do number 2. Straight on in, please.
Played an away game, not just in 2021, but obviously in 2020 they didn't play in front of a crowd like this. So this will be the first time since 2019 that these guys, with a new offense like we have,
New coordinator
like we had, new quarterback like we had to start the game. It's challenging for them going on the road, and we need to do our part to make it even more challenging with our crowd.
Shane Beamer, last night, Carolina Calls with Todd Ellis, Learfield Sports, right here on 107.5 The Game. We've been talking about it almost all morning long. The environment will be good. It will be a big-time environment tomorrow night, even if the Gamecocks don't quite get to an official sellout. At last check, I saw less than 800 tickets available for tomorrow night's 7 o'clock kick with Kentucky at Williams-Brice Stadium. It's going to be hopping at some point. But, Bill, we've seen this in years past, and I think that 2017 game specifically is probably the one that you can point to in the last, I don't know, I guess the only other one would be 2014, the season opener against Texas A&M, where I can remember really the crowd, the environment. I guess a Clemson game or two in the last 10 years or so, where the environment is really, really good and the game does not quite live up to it. But that Kentucky game from 2017, because Deebo Samuel scores on the first play of the game from 75 yards out, and then to not see the offense do anything after that. A question coming in on the text line I think is a good one. Matt says, I think Coach White's defense will be just fine. Much more uncertain about Coach Satterfield's offense. Agree? What do you think, Bill? You agree with Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I think South Carolina's defense tomorrow night will give up some drives, will give up some plays, but I really expect them to hold their own throughout the game. I mean, look, I over under on yardage, I'd put Kentucky getting around 350, 375 yards in that kind of window, 350 to 375. I think that's about fair. I don't think South Carolina's going to just shut them down. I don't think they're going to shut them down. But I would also be surprised if Kentucky is just able to go up and down the field on South Carolina for over 400 yards. And again, if they do, I will find that a little bit more concerning about what I've seen from the defense. So you hold them to 350, 375, and then I don't know what to expect from South Carolina's offense tomorrow night. Luke Doty with a full week of practice. The offensive line, has there been any changes? What do we see with the running back rotation tomorrow night? Kevin Harris did get 16 carries against Georgia. You felt like they were trying to work him into his own rhythm as opposed to running back by committee. So do you see Kevin Harris line up and get 20 carries tomorrow night? Do you see the tight ends become more involved in the passing game? A lot of questions there I have with just where this offense goes as we watch what happens tomorrow night and how things continue to evolve under Marcus Satterfield.
Patrick, will this be the first time you agree with Bill on the show this morning? More concerned about the Gamecock offense or the defense headed into this thing? Sorry, we got you turned down. I think Jen was not pleased with your attitude a little earlier.
It's probably fair.
Oh, just karma got him, huh? Maybe karma got him on the old technology there. We'll see if we can get Patrick's take on this in just a second. Bill, I agree with you, but I don't know how anybody could see it much differently, having watched Carolina play 3 games already this season and seen the miscommunication, especially last week, and seen the offensive line's performance against East Carolina as well. I think you have to have less confidence on that side of the ball. Maybe I guess if Luke Doty, you feel like he's going to be the difference maker, what you've seen out of Josh Vann already, the catch from Jalen Brooks last week down the sideline against Georgia, really good signs, I think. But from a consistency standpoint, I'm going to have to see more. I think we got Patrick back now.
Yeah. So about the deep balls, a couple of them were contested. You cannot count on Jalen Brooks and Josh Vann to make freak plays like that every weekend. But yeah, I think I'm slightly more concerned about the offense because the offense is going to be needed to stay on the field, to extend some drives. Because when you're playing an offense like Kentucky that wants to run the ball and they also want to hit you deep, like you can only hold them off for so long. Like if you allow this offense to have a drastic advantage in the time of possession and just get first down after first down and keep extending drives, they can really hurt you. So South Carolina is going to need to run the ball. They're going to need to eat clock at times. They're going to need to score points because Kentucky, I think, will ultimately score. But, I mean, we've seen South Carolina break through, like East Carolina at the end of the game, where they might have been worn down a little bit, and South Carolina found something on the perimeter where, hey, Juju McDowell can get the edge now. I think if you just allow Kentucky to keep coming back and keep their offense on the field and tire South Carolina out, it could get ugly in the fourth quarter for them, and Kentucky can start breaking off chunk runs and things like that, which would only open up the passing game. So I think it's just the offense being able to complement the defense more so than light it up and score 35 points.
Yeah, I completely agree with where you're coming from on that. There are many examples in the last several years where a Gamecock defense in an SEC game has really played well for 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter just ran out of gas with the time of possession being against them and being out on the field as much as they were. Scott absolutely agrees with that kind of take, I think. Says it's a huge game for Marcus Satterfield. And would you agree with that, Bill? It probably a bigger game from that standpoint if you had to pick out one coach.
Yes. There's got to be some things there this week where people say, okay, I see what you're doing here. I see positive momentum. It's okay to say, hey, look, we still lack talent to maybe make what you want work in the future, but there's got to be some creative play calling here on Saturday night. The run game has to be more efficient. There's a lot of things there that, Marcus Satterfield will be under the microscope a little bit on Saturday night. That offense just as a whole has got to click better. Getting the play down from the booth to the sideline in. I'm tired of seeing South Carolina already 3 games in break the huddle at like the 15-second mark, be lined up, in formation at about 10 seconds, and then trying to hurry to get the snap off without being able to read the defense or make any kind of blocking adjustments. That's got to change as well.
I disagree. I don't think you're tired of that. You're tired of seeing that plus ineffective run game, right? If the run game's working, you don't care when they snap the play or how much time they got on the play clock, the whole thing.
I think it goes hand in hand. I think the fact that they get, watch tomorrow night. Watch tomorrow night how many times South Carolina gets to the line and audibles. Because I don't feel like I've seen many of them in the first 3 games. How many times does South Carolina get to the line of scrimmage tomorrow night and run a play and maybe change to something that's a better play? I don't feel like we're seeing much of that. That's a big thing I'm watching for tomorrow night.
Well, I would say that's why this is a big game for Satterfield, because now there's no more excuses. One, you're fully healthy. There's no injuries really to speak of on the offensive end, are there? Unless I'm forgetting someone.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're fully healthy. You've got your quarterback, your dual threat quarterback who's been your starter. And if you can't open up the offense with quarterback run stuff, that's on you now. And ultimately, hard to blame them about the audibles last weekend. That environment was tough. Luke Doty was just thrown out there out of the blue. So you can talk that stuff away and say this is why we didn't have an opportunity to call audibles or whatever, which is why we stayed longer in the huddle. Now there's just no excuses. You can say Zeb Nolan wasn't calling audibles against ECU because it was a away environment and he was still new to the position. Not to the position of quarterback, but to the South Carolina quarterback position. He'd only been running that offense for a couple weeks, so we just wanted to try and keep things simple. Now, all the excuses are off the table. It's going to be a home game. It's going to be quiet on offense. Like, everybody's healthy. Nothing to talk away now.
Also, week 2 and week 3, those are different issues. You can't just continue to say, oh, this is week 4 or week 5 or the whole thing. The patience does start to wear thin at some point, and I agree with you guys. Big week for Marcus Satterfield and the Gamecock offense. Let's hear what Ray's got to say about it on the Love Chevy phone lines. Morning, Ray.
Good morning, gentlemen. What I want to call in, talk a little about offense, but first, just want to compliment Parker White. I know he took advantage of that extra year, and I think that was a great decision by him because I tell you, he looks comfortable, calm as a cucumber. And it's almost like hitting that golf ball. If you overswing, you're going to hit a bad shot, but if you're nice and steady and smooth, man, you hit it straight down the fairway. And these kicks, he's just so focused and he's so smooth on his kicks. And a couple of those snaps have been very high. And, a lot of kickers, a younger kicker, would probably throw his timing off and all that. But, man, he's been steady. I like what I see from him. And as far as the offense, I think the big key, and now that Luke's there, and I'm really excited, and I think Patrick's going to turn out to be right. This whole thing with Luke is we got to I think we got to spread it out. I think everybody just bunched in on us, and just selling out on the run and crashing those linebackers into the gaps. So I think we got to spread them out. We got to use Luke's speed get him to outside, throw those corner passes outside and all that. We just got to spread them out and have good tempo. And I'm like you guys, we can't call timeouts because we can't get a play in. But I'm excited. I think the key to the offense is to spread the other team out, and then that's going to open up your running game. So I do think I'm real excited to see our offense, and I'm hoping Luke Doty can turn out to be another Matt Corral at Ole Miss. I think he might have that ability. So I'm there. I'm excited.
Appreciate the phone call, Ray. You know, Matt Corral did play against the Gamecocks in that game you went to back in the day, Patrick, the Ole Miss game, and he really struggled. I think it was really his first action maybe in the SEC. And so Ray says that. Bill, you and I both had the immediate smart aleck response, I think, about Doty being as good as the Heisman frontrunner right now. But my mind also went back to that. He's got some of the same traits for sure, and we've seen some serious development from Matt Corral, I think, in his Ole Miss career.
I would also think that is more about Marcus Satterfield being as good at calling plays as Lane Kiffin.
That's a good point.
Yes.
We continue on the Love Chevy phone lines. Carl from Charlotte up next. Go ahead, Carl.
Good morning, guys. Happy Friday.
Morning.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, I think big key here with the defensive line. Last week, Georgia is just another animal. And we hope that was just a blip on the radar instead of a trend. Because we're playing up against an All-American left tackle in Kennard. But this kid, Will Levis, this is his first road game, SEC environment. And he's had a propensity, he's already had some turnover with the interceptions. So with our defensive line, we've got to help out our secondary. We've been talking about the defensive line all summer. Now it's time to, turn the hype into reality now. Because this is a big game. This is the turning point of the season. So we got to make some plays on defense, and I think that helps jumpstart the offense. You guys have a good one.
Carl, appreciate the phone call. Time for us to take a quick break. Our weekly picks, picking 5 games for the season, including Carolina and Kentucky. That's coming up next. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WFM, Eastover, Columbia.
It's been no secret. COVID and the worldwide computer chip shortage has reduced the number of new vehicles available for sale. It's kind of the same right now at Love Chevrolet. But what is different. Unlike other dealerships, Love Chevrolet is not suddenly tacking on extra add-ons to the price of their new cars to take advantage of their customers during the time of high demand and low supply. Nope. At Love Chevrolet, it's business as usual, providing the absolute largest selection, the lowest price guaranteed, and always treating you, the customer, with the utmost respect and integrity. That's what South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer has been doing since they opened their doors over 60 years ago. So it's time to get out and go see Love Chevrolet. You hear me talking about them every week. Proud to be affiliated with a family-run company like Love Chevrolet. And at this important time, as people are trying to make ends meet, Love Chevrolet continues to be there for those that need a brand new Chevrolet, or if you're looking for a certified pre-owned vehicle. Again, a family-owned dealership that offers a huge selection of certified pre-owned trucks, cars, and SUVs, plus the new Love Chevrolets without all the sticker add-ons and price hikes. You can go visit them, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
Just writing my picks down right now.
Does every golfer wear a hat?
Typically.
Do they have to?
No. But you get to make money off of it. Why wouldn't you?
True. Can you think of anyone that doesn't wear a hat?
In the year where he lost to Billy Horschel and he had great success there, and I just think
no.
the golf course that suits him well. It's going
to.
Every now and again, you'll see one.
I feel like it's only old pictures of like Jack Nicklaus winning with a mop on his head and no
Right.
hat.
Sebi Ballesteros, I think, didn't wear a hat.
So who is this? This is Thomas to win? Thomas for a birdie and to win the second hole?
I don't know. We're not timed up right.
Where are you at right now?
I just saw Colin Morikawa putt.
Yeah, you must be. I don't know if you're way behind or.
Yeah, I'm way behind.
All right,
Oh,
Justin
yeah.
Thomas made the putt. We're up 1-0. One up.
Danny says McElroy didn't wear a hat in the Olympics. Interesting. All right, so we'll knock out the pick segment here. You guys good with that?
I'm good with that.
I can write them down. I got a little chart here.
That's the ultimate in professionalism right there.
Oh, yeah. That's me. I'm the humble ultimate in professionalism.
The humble ultimate professionalism. That doesn't go well with this show.
The humble ultimate professional. I need to get that website.
It's 52 degrees in Sheboygan.
You
Here,
know.
Polka's big there.
Uh-huh.
Big in Sheboygan. Polka. That's my favorite.
I'm going to make some of the return bumper music be polka music.
Nice.
This course looks beautiful, but I'd never play it.
Yeah, way too tough.
And you can't drive a car.
I actually got a cousin who works for Kohler, so I know her husband has played it, and he's worse at golf than me. So
Oh.
I wouldn't be the worst golfer there, ever.
I'm just saying there's no way some of these paths, like, they just probably don't have carts here, do they?
I don't think most courses like that you got to get a caddy and you're walking.
No thanks.
Most courses like that you're paying. Quig would know better, but I
Do
mean,
you wear shorts at a course like that?
Yes.
Athletic shorts?
no, not athletic shorts.
What? Dude. Kids from Maryland, man. 25-year-old dudes from Maryland. Are you kidding me?
You don't wear. You're not a like a athletic short with a collared shirt kind of guy, are you?
That sounds like it.
Athletic shorts with a collared shirt? Yeah, I'll do that.
You need to be a high school softball coach.
Well, it's not even that. I'm just saying, like, if I had to walk the whole course, that's how far? That's miles, right?
Oh, no.
If I have to wear khakis, that's just Chafe City. I'm not really into that.
Unbelievable. Get some comfortable Under Armour dress shorts, man. It'll be fine.
Find some, mustache wax.
Money?
You just need some nut dust.
Exactly.
Where's Anthony? Get in touch with Anthony. He's got some. I think wasn't it Anthony who had some?
Well, you're gonna share it? Come on.
I actually got some from Dollar Shave Club in my last. I'll show you.
I think it's. I mean, I don't think you're rubbing it around. Don't you pour it in your hand and then spread it?
All right, enough. Completely lost control of this show, which is about right at 8:38 on a Friday.
Okay, so how
Fortunately, we got some college football picks to make to get us right back on track. Why don't we do that now? Let's start. We're going to do 5 games. We do them every week. Patrick, I think I did the math. So Bill was out last Friday. He didn't participate. I think Bill's 4 out of 10. 15. I'm just barely over 500 at 8 out of 15 headed into week number 4. Does that sound right to you, that math?
No, I think because Bill wasn't here last week, we just need to start with a fresh slate today.
So the math was absolutely correct. You just don't like the math. That's what I'm hearing.
No, what I heard was it's 0-0, everyone.
Gotcha. That's Patrick Correct, ladies and gentlemen. An interesting relationship with reality. All right, let's do our first pick. We're going with the noon game on Fox. Wisconsin hosting Notre Dame. 6.5-point favorite, Wisconsin, the lower-ranked team in this thing. They're 18th in the country. Notre Dame at 12th in the country. Wisconsin already a loss on the year. Notre Dame 3-0, but I think a tenuous 3-0. Where are you guys going with this, Bill? Let's start with you.
I'm going to take the Badgers, man. I that was a tough loss early on to Penn State, and some mistakes were made. But I also think that Penn State might be legitimately, they're number 6 currently. They might be a top 5 team. Penn State looks pretty good right now. So I'm not going to hold that against the Badgers here. Notre Dame, on the other hand, number 12, I think they're overrated. You look at what they've done so far. I don't know what to make of that Florida State game now. Toledo, they barely win. Last week was a struggle to get by Purdue. They ended up winning by 14. Give me Bucky. It's Bucky, right? Bucky the Badger, and I'll lay the 6.5.
Patrick, what do you think?
I was just looking at Wisconsin stats. They only let up 16 yards of rushing against Eastern Michigan last week. Saw 34-7. I thought that might be closer than it looks. It wasn't. But this is basically a home game for Notre Dame. I think we're overreacting to them not looking great so far, but they're still a good team. I'd love it if it was 7.5, but I'll still take a 6.5. But for my own money, I'm buying the point.
So Notre Dame is your selection there, Patrick. Is that correct? I think I incorrectly said this game was at Wisconsin. It's neutral site-ish, Chicago.
Yeah,
at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
So you're going a Notre Dame pick, correct, Patrick? Just for clarity's sake.
Notre Dame.
I'm going Notre Dame as well. I think they're the classic team that plays up or down with its competition, and 6.5, too many points to give away there. All right, let's go to the SEC now. A couple of SEC games we're going to do. Texas A&M, a 4.5-point favorite at Arkansas. Good for Sam Pittman. That this line is at 4.5. I mean, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I'm guessing this spread would be a solid 20. And now what Arkansas has done lately is absolutely tremendous. With that being said, I'm going to take A&M to cover this 4.5. I think this is a bit of a Vegas trick playing on some Arkansas momentum that I think A&M will have an answer for. Patrick, where are you going? A&M minus 4.5 at Arkansas.
Yeah, a lot of celebration in Arkansas right now, but it's about to end. This schedule is so ugly. A&M at Georgia, at Ole Miss, and Auburn in the next 4 weeks. Sorry, but it's going to be an ugly month, and I will take Texas A&M to win fairly big.
Bill, you're going to be the only one to pick Arkansas?
I'm going to take Arkansas. I think Texas A&M wins, but this game's close. Are you buying in? Is it Calzada, Nick Calzada? Because that to me is why it's a close line. 34-0 last week. Texas A&M beat New Mexico, and Texas A&M defense is still very, very strong. That's why they win the football game. But can Nick Calzada get the job done offensively? You're buying into him?
Not that he's that great, but he's good enough to win by 5 against Arkansas. And Jimbo Fisher now has had several weeks to scheme it up around him, so he can do what he's good at. And then those talented skill players from A&M just going to be the difference against Arkansas.
I'm going to go again. Yeah, I'm going to take Arkansas, but I got A&M winning. I think this is a sneaky good game. Arkansas is a little bit better. That's a very experienced Arkansas team. They lose a lot. KJ Jefferson will still be there, but they lose a lot next year when South Carolina goes out to Fayetteville.
Yeah,
so
a
couple of games underneath a touchdown point spread wise. Now we're going the big spread of our picks. Florida, Tennessee in the Swamp, 3:30 ESPN game, 19.5. Sorry, that's a 7:00 game in Gainesville on ESPN, I believe, as well. But 19.5 is where I've got Florida favored in this thing over Tennessee. Bill, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm going to actually lay the points. I will take Florida. I think Anthony Richardson will be back. I think Florida is kind of feeling its oats after coming close to knocking off Alabama last week. There's no such thing as moral victories for them, but that might be one where they now know they feel they're one of the top teams in the country. Tennessee is struggling. I mean, they're just. I expect Tennessee to just get run out of the building on this one. I'll take Florida.
Patrick?
Just what Bill said about moral victories. That's why I was going to say this is a letdown week for Florida. Yes, a letdown week after a loss. But Florida fans are counting it as a victory. They'll still win because Tennessee's awful, but I'll take 19.5. I'm comfortable with that.
Exactly. I'm thinking maybe a backdoor cover late in this thing, and Florida only wins by 16, 17 points or so. All right, the Clemson spread is still at 10.5, even though I know a lot of Tiger fans not necessarily feeling really confident after a 14-8 win against Georgia Tech. NC State plus 10.5. Bill, what do you think?
I just think at some point Clemson's offense this is one of those games where you pick, and if you don't take Clemson and the offense just gets going, you're like, oh, I should have seen that coming. And whereas you can also take NC State or you can take Clemson to cover because you think the offense gets going. But right now, facts tell you something's wrong with this Clemson offense. And the defense is great. The defense is phenomenal, but something's wrong with the offense. I'll take Clemson's offense to get rolling and produce a few more points and cover. Would you say I think I've seen 9.5. Did y'all say 9.5 or 10.5?
We're going 10.5.
10.5. I'll take a risk. I'll take my chance on Clemson's offense picking it up this week.
I'm going NC State on the other side of this thing, especially playing in Raleigh, and just what we've seen from Clemson so far. I'm going to have to see it before I believe it. I've been burned on them already. I thought they were going to cover, 28 against Georgia Tech last week. Clearly that was massively wrong. Patrick, who you got?
Yeah, NC State will win 3-0.
Okay, an NC State pick there. Gamecocks, 5.5 is the number we're going to do. I'm taking Kentucky to cover 5.5. I think it's going to be a 24-17-ish game where Kentucky will be just a little bit better than South Carolina at this point and win the game by a touchdown. Bill, where are you going on Carolina and Kentucky?
I'll let Patrick make the pick first, just in case.
Just in case what? You change
what
your
are you
mind?
taking?
Because I'm taking Kentucky. I think it's going to be, I'll go 34-24.
Wow. 34-24 seems
we are known as the Homer show of this network. All three of us can't take the Wildcats. I'll go with South Carolina and Beamer to pull the upset. The defense, big interception late. South Carolina scores. Give me South Carolina to cover the 5.5. Not all three of us can't take Kentucky. We'd lose a lot of credit there. Our Clemson listeners would be very confused and say that we're not homers anymore.
So that's why you said just in case, so that you wouldn't have to take a side.
No,
that all three of us wouldn't take Kentucky.
He just set up the entire justification on Monday. He's like, well, you guys made me take Carolina because we couldn't do it. And that's what. Mm-hmm. You got a score prediction for us there, big guy?
We'll go. No, it's not his actual prediction. Now he's just throwing out.
We'll go 24-21. 24-21. South Carolina kicks a field goal at the end. Parker White for the victory. He is Mr. Clutch.
RL says this picks guarantee South Carolina will upset Kentucky. You're probably right on that one. RL, maybe there's a Jedi mind trick involved with this thing. Final thoughts about Carolina, Kentucky. A final word from Shane Beamer when we come back. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. In your car, online, on the app.
Weather is absolutely fantastic. Patrick was actually talking about the weather up at the Ryder Cup. For a lot of people out there talking about how it's football season. So right now, today, you're probably not thinking about your heating and air system. It's one of the least of your concerns, but you need to be thinking about your heating system. Last year, I woke up on Christmas Day, didn't have any heat. I don't know how to put that properly, how miserable that was. It's way off in the future, but now is the time to think about it and get someone out. Get AAA Heating and Air out to your home today to inspect your heating and air unit and make sure everything's working properly. Because again, I can't give you exactly how angry I was, how cold I was on Christmas morning when I woke up last year and the heat was out. It was kind of a Grinchy type of Christmas. I won't fall for it this year. I'll be ready. I'll go ahead and get Roy and Dana Finley, the whole family, out, AAA Heating and Air, to go ahead and inspect my heating and air unit and make sure this winter I'm ready. I know, again, the weather's great right now, but that doesn't mean you can rest and just think, hey, everything will be great. Get AAA Heating and Air out today, 803-677-1500. That's how you can get in touch with them. If you do need to have your heating and air unit replaced, they'll work with you. They'll offer you a $1,500 rebate to buy back your old unit, 0% financing, no money down on a new unit for all qualified buyers. And then the best part, a 15-year parts and labor warranty to make sure your heating and air unit continues to work just fine, even when you're not concerned about it. 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Yeah, that was the other thing. I get the true fan designation.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Take that, you two.
You showed us.
Patrick, your number one fan wants you to call everybody out.
You can find what's right for you. United Healthcare, connecting you to better health. Learn more at uhc.com.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Midstate Roof.
Is that his first text today? No, he's not.
Nah, I think he's gotten into more harassing of the other shows.
Nah, he just got up late this morning.
Mm-hmm.
He only texted 4 times in the last 25 minutes. That was it. In this Titleist commercial, I think I only recognize one person.
You only know one person?
I think I only recognize one person.
All right, so let's see. Johnson and Morikawa are 1 up, and Thomas and Spieth are back to all square. Right. Good point, Chad. Good point.
I wish I brought this up earlier. Someone asked me yesterday, why are there not girl juniors?
Because women are not nearly as egotistical as men.
It's pretty much what we came up with. But have you ever met a girl who goes by Junior?
Nope, never. I've never heard of a daughter being named after her mother.
Correct.
Well, we kind of did that with Ansley. My ex-wife's middle name was Noel, and we liked that, so we named Ansley Noel because it kind of came together. Now I know it's different. Yeah, okay. Middle name. We like that because obviously at the time when you get married, you get the point. But
right. But to me, you don't have an identity if you're a third or a fourth. Or I don't know, or like in Friends, Frank Jr.
Frank Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're heading back in.
Awesome, Jen. I want to do the one that we haven't done today, the Jake Panis one, right here.
Okay.
This is number 4, right? CC4.
Yep.
Thank you.
Let's talking and having a great time, but if I could get you to just listen to me quickly or briefly, I'm sorry to interrupt the show, but
Your show.
I really am honored. First of all, we were able to put 2 walk-ons on scholarship this week, Darrell Ware and Matthew Bailey. But if you watched on social media, you saw the presentation with Matthew Bailey and how emotional and special that was. And I'm honored that a good friend of mine, Stephen Panis, is right here in the booth as well, who gave that or is providing that scholarship in memory of his amazing son, Jake. And he's a great friend of this program. He's a great friend of mine. He loves Carolina. Pray that or ask that all of you keep he and his family in your prayers for all they're going through. But I think we owe him a big cause for the kind of Gamecock he is. And I know Jake is especially proud of all he's doing in his memory.
Last night on Carolina Calls with Learfield Sports, that was Todd Ellis, Shane Beamer, giving a big message out there. And if you haven't seen that video on social media, certainly recommend that you go check that one out with the address that Stephen Panis had to the team and the presentation of the scholarship to Matthew Bailey there. Special emotional video and a special week for the Panis family. I also retweeted it. I think it was yesterday or the day before. It was a rainbow that kind of led to Williams-Brice Stadium, a picture that was out there. And Stephen said that was a sure sign that Jake is looking over everything for Gamecock football going into Saturday night, which has been the discussion all week. Bill, would you like to make a final statement on Carolina and Kentucky?
It is a barometer game. I know you and Patrick spent yesterday trying to figure out what barometers were and then if they can be decorative in your house, but it'll tell us a lot, I think, about Shane Beamer.
40.
I don't want it's not a must-win game. Let's be clear about that. But there will be a lot learned about this football program. Hard to believe after tomorrow night we're 1-30 through the season.
A lot of optimism, hope, confidence. I don't know what you want to put into it, but today's poll question at Tim Hill 1075, a combined 71% of you voting for a Gamecock win. 47% says it's going to be close by 1 to 6 points. 24% in second place by 7 or more, but Kentucky winning by 7 or more in third place today. Thanks for listening this week. Patrick, way to grind your gears, man. Way to grind
Thank
those
you.
gears.
Time to break out the sweatpants.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT.
Jen, you got to rush out of there, or do you have real quick to cut a poorly pull spot, send to Jeff, or do you need to rush?
I got a couple minutes.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that.
Thank you guys on the live stream. I just see it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, for Team USA on the tee as we get ready to go with the Ryder Cup in his sweatpants and collared shirt, Patrick Purdy.
Wow.
Yeah.
As long
One
as it says
day.
USA down the leg.
I'm going to get a haircut soon, so I'm actually going to wear sweatpants to go there.
That a boy.